Yes.
Ooh.
Welcome to Moc'd Podcast and welcome to Silent Podcast where we're anything but silent. Shout out to that. And today I obviously have my wonderful co-host Esme. How are you doing today, Esme?
Good. I'm excited to talk about Brink.
Period. No, I had a lot of fun skating through this movie. And
I'm not ready for all the skate puns, Ganjo has.
Period. And we have a special guest here today. Shout out to this person. We really like the energy this person gives. And, it's always at least 100. So let's get it. We have Carrie here with us to talk about Brink. What's up, Carrie? How are you doing?
Hi, I am so excited. This is my favorite Disney Channel original movie. When this came up, I lobbied hard to be here this evening.
Period. We love to see it. Okay, before we dive into it, did you both watch this before this, or was this your first time watching?
This was my first time watching it.
Oh, I've made Brink references for the last 25 years of my life, or however long it's been out. I'm old enough to have watched the original. I love calling people El Stupido after my girl Gabby. That's probably the first Spanish insult I learned, and I still use it and used it growing up. This is part of me right here.
And honestly, Brink is probably the favorite one that we've watched so far. And I think I can see why it's one of your favorite Disney movie, because it is a really great one.
Period. Without saying too many details, I agree with both of y'all with this. I think most definitely the storyline of this movie was more coherent than both Under Wraps and You Lucky Dog. It made a lot of more sense, I guess, and it actually felt more close to home. So
the soundtrack was also great.
Soundtrack was amazing. We love to see it. So the movie really start with we meet this kid, bouncing around his house trying to get some food, rushing. He got a snarky little sister, and his parents are talking, and you kind of get a feeling from his family. They kind of cool and everything, but it feels like something is off, but not really. So basically, right after he leaves his house, the scene goes to 3 people, who is Gabby, Peter, and what's his name, Jordy.
Yep.
And they meet up with Andy, who is the main, protagonist or whatever, aka Brink. And basically he starts the movie late, and the movie starts with them at the bus stop waiting for him to come. So, starting the movie, were you guys feeling when it started?
I thought this was one of the better openings, because it goes also after this, it goes right into the skating scene, and I think that was a really good way to introduce the kind of what this movie is about.
Mm-hmm.
And was also a great just attention grabber. Was a great kind of action sequence, and I think You Lucky Dog and Under Wraps I didn't get invested in at the beginning, and I think this one got my attention really quickly, and it kept my attention throughout the whole runtime too.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it caused me to ask some questions. First of all, did you wake up today and ask yourself, am I going to talk or am I going to skate?
Period. Over it.
But also, the real questions it caused me to ask is, what parents let their child just straight up funnel chocolate syrup out the bottle for breakfast? At least add some milk to your mouth to make it
pure sugar.
And the other question was, why was Brink running when he was late? When he had rollerblades he could have put on to make him go faster. So I have 3 strong questions to start this movie off with. One provided by the movie, but the other 2 just left me wondering.
Very weird decision making. It's very weird.
No, because he's also, it would have just made sense for him to to skate there, because it also would have been quicker, because we know how fast they can skate.
That's what I was wondering. Why is this dude running?
Did the bus not stop for them either?
No,
they didn't, because Brink wasn't there.
Brink wasn't even stop is my thing. The bus just went past where they were sitting.
They said Brink not here, so they're not ready to get on the bus.
The bus driver was they're missing a fence. Let's just go.
Right. So Brink makes them miss the bus. He blames it on choreness and says that he had to clean his room or whatever. So they need to basically get to the pit in the pit, I guess, is like the part of the skating rink that they want to be a part of. I guess like the main attraction. If they're late, like missing the bus will make them late. They won't be able to get to the pit. So like you guys referred to earlier, they threw them skates on and start skating to the beach. So it was just like, why didn't y'all just throw them skates on before?
Because it very much seems, it's very much like first come first serve. Who's in the pit gets just use the pit until they leave.
And they're ironically on their last week of summer, so they they had to introduce there. On the way to the beach, they do all those little cool tricks, go down the rails, jump in everything. Did y'all like that little 90s type? I guess Carrie, you can start, but did you like the 90s start of the movie where it's like the action sequence, of them, grooving to on their skates?
I'm going to have to say yes, because I'm going to have to openly disclose something here. My analysis for movies versus movies doesn't exist. I just know that I know Brink. So.
Period.
I also agree is that I really enjoyed it because it's also like interesting because these aren't the D-Hum movies that I grew up with, because was the first movie ones like that I remember were much later on. So it's very interesting seeing like how different they start off, and I think this was very well done, and I think it was something I haven't seen a lot, so I really liked it.
One thing I did take a note of, Gabriella did not like being called guys, even though she was hanging out with 3 guys. I was like, okay, I guess I feel it, but it's just I wonder at this time in the 90s was that like the notion of like being called guys, the comparative to nowadays women and gay people culture is calling everybody the girls, basically. So it's like the opposite of that, and a lot of guys right now don't like being called the girls. I'm not gonna hold you up, but it's just like it's like a play on words, saying the girls are fighting or the girls are doing this, just like saying guys. And as somebody, I know this is getting too deep, but as somebody who says you guys a lot, I can't feel offended about the girls. I'm not gonna hold you up, because I generalize women and you guys just as much as I feel like girls generalize guys and you girls. So I just use that.
So I remember Gabby being like one of the first strong female characters I saw on anything essentially that didn't fit those normal gender norms. And I mean, I wasn't thinking of gender norms when I was in like 4th grade or whatever, but I do remember, so growing up, and this goes back to what Ganjo and I were talking about like a mere couple hours ago. I was definitely a tomboy growing up. Like my mom had to like beg me to brush my hair, because I would always just like put a hat on, put my sweatshirt on, like go play with the boys. Like I'm the only girl in my whole family. I grew up with all boys. Like this is normal for me. So I saw Gabby, Gabby was the only person, obviously besides Brink, who's like I distinctly remembered from watching this however long ago,
same.
Because of like how impactful she was to me as like an elementary school girl, just this like pretty cool tomboy who could keep up and like be better than the boys. I was like, you are my hero. So,
and I think that's part of the important reason of why, at least for me, is why that she's so insistent about why that she's so insistent about not be called one of the guys, because she isn't. She's can do all the things that the guys do, but she's still a girl,
She wants to be one of the guys and is one of the guys, but wants that distinction of like, I'm doing all these things, the same exact things that you are, and a lot of time I'm doing it better, but I'm a girl, and let's make sure you don't forget it.
Period. We love to see it. Yes, I agree with all of that. Like I do like Gabriella. Like that's real. Like she was one of the people who like I saw early on, and I took a liking to her. Like I took a liking to her more than I did to Brink. I'm not gonna hold you up, especially
later. I think Gabrielle was my favorite character in the movie.
Especially later on with what happens to her, that stuck in my mind a lot when I was like growing up or whatever. Okay, so they end up getting to the pit or whatever, and they doing their little tricks for the audience, and they see like a little camera crew there taking pictures, newspaper people there, and they think they're there for them. And then they quickly find out that they're really there to get shots for X-Blades, which is the competing crew, I guess, of skateboarders. So
I have a question about this. Because they were like in the pit, right? Really far away. How did any of them read what was on that man's hat?
That was the cheesiest part of the movie by a landslide. That was the only part where I'm like, Disney, be better. Come on.
They're like maybe like 20 feet away from this man. How are you reading this? Like,
and it was like the slow turn of it. So you see the back and he just like pauses there and it says inline skating. It's like, stop it. Stop this right now.
Like,
they were not seeing that.
Insider magazine. Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, before I forget, I guess, I mean, Brink is kind of like the captain of their team. Like, would you guys say that? Like, he's like he's a person who kind of keeps them, structured, and they're like training basically for, I'm guessing, the tournament is coming up. So what happens is the X-Blades, the official, I guess, sponsor team, their coach is like, I need to get y'all out there. And then the photographer, I need to get shots of y'all. We can go somewhere else. Y'all can stay here, but we need to get some shots. And Val, who is the main guy of the X-Blades, so I guess the main skater, main leader, he like, oh no, we're about to get them up out of here. So they basically bullied him out the pit. How did you feel about Vance when you first, not Vance, how did you feel about Val when you first saw him?
I honestly thought he was one of the Bash brothers from Mighty Ducks, and I had to look it up to make sure that he wasn't. Mm-hmm. I also had to look to see very quickly. Once he came up a couple more times, I realized it wasn't Emilio Estevez, but I thought it was Emilio Estevez as well.
For a second, I was like,
we got a heavy Mighty Ducks crossover happening in this movie.
For a second, was like, I was very confused at first because I think I was not fully paying attention for a split second, and I thought that was Brink, and I was like, wait, what is going on? I was like, no, he's not Brink.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I think that like its character is set up very strongly, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
As like, you're not supposed to like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he gives us like very like douchey asshole vibes that like are not necessary. And to actually counteract, okay, I forgot to say this, but like, okay, so they're the team of Brink, his friends, Gabriella, Jordy, and Peter. They consider themselves soul skaters. And I believe Val is the opposite of that. And Val is like about like, I want to win. I want some cash. I want this. I need the best on my team. And then the other half of them, they're just trying to skate for fun. So I think
much more results and outcome oriented than the other ones do, who are much more about, this is just fun. This is just like what we do because we enjoy it.
But and that initial thing puts Andy, aka Brink, in the compromising position from being directly in the middle, where he is a soul skater, but he may need the money at one point. So basically they talk shit to the X-Bladers. The X-Bladers end up bullying them off of like the pit. And Brink comes up with a plan to get Val basically back. And he goes up to some skateboarders and basically start talking cash like, ooh, skateboarders aren't shit. They out here weak. They're not about to beat nobody ass. And guess who the fuck told me? That guy Val over there. He told me y'all wasn't about nothing. Why they go over there and basically start, oop, not this.
They're like ready to throw hands. And also the skateboarders are like 20 compared to like these like high schoolers.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely ready to scrap. I don't know how old they was, but yes.
They went some like not these like full blown adults trying to beat up like about to fight with these children.
Period. But yeah, I mean, I like the tit for tat that it seems like Val and I'm gonna call him Andrew, Aiden. And I don't know if y'all got this like vibe from Brink, but like he was saying like, what's up, fam? When he got so after this he ended up going home. After they leave the ring, he ended up going home. And he like enter the house like, what's up, fam? And the daddy basically was so funny. He was like, you get to the crib. English. He basically speak English, and there's no way you should be this happy all the time. I was just like,
depressed.
Yeah, the dad like low key hates his son.
I did not.
It was the fastest revolution of a father-son relationship to be seen on TV from the beginning to end of this movie. But we are currently at the point where dad, was like, I wish we had one kid and its name was Katie.
And he's like, I wish my kid was upset and depressed because he's too happy all the time.
Go through an emo phase. Shit.
When he hit him with the "you too happy to be a kid," I'm like, "Ooh, are you okay? Like, why can't your kid be happy? What's going on here?"
I'm like, you should be glad that your kid is happy. Like,
please.
I did not like the father's character that much because I think like it was resolved, like you said, that was resolved too quickly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, I wasn't feeling the daddy. I'm like, why are you hating on your son so bad? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand this. Well, at the same time, he, like you said, mentioned earlier, he likes Katie. Katie funny. Katie said some wild ass shit talking about she hates school. She not trying to go, and she like, why can't we be homeschooled? Like basically this other family, and the mama was like, because they're Mormon, and she was like, why can't we just be Mormon?
I'll look into it.
I'll look into it. I was like, okay, we love Katie trying to get what she wants.
She's like, I'm about to change my whole family's religion so I can be homeschooled.
Period. She said.
Spoiler alert: you can be homeschooled without being Mormon.
Right.
I was homeschooled and I'm not Mormon. So I don't know what. Fun fact movie, that's a wrong fact. You don't have to be Mormon to be homeschooled.
Period. That was crazy. I'm not gonna talk about this now. Like when she was like, "Oh, they're Mormon," and then like, why was that the default to you to be like, "Okay, you're not going to be homeschooled because you're Mormon," but I mean, because you're not Mormon, but. You know, the mama, actually, I ain't gonna hold you up. The mama was kind of cute. I was looking at her. I was like, ooh, not this MILF.
I was not ready for this crush. I wasn't expecting it.
I was not ready for that.
It came out of nowhere because I was looking at her. I was like, his mama kind of cute.
Sadly, I cannot say it's the same for the dad.
Right, at all. Okay, so then after he leaves the house or whatever, they like kind of flash forward to the school, and Jordy, Peter, and Andy are all shook because Gabriella has come off the bus with a dress on, and she feels like her mama wanted her because all the people from Peru wear dresses on the first day.
The first day of school, yeah.
So she had to. So she's like tomboyish, but she will actually get down when she needs to. To impress her mom. And at this point, Andy uses the phrase "fat," and I was like, wow, that was a good time in life.
Well, I was watching with closed captions, and so for it to spell it PHAT on my TV, I was like, oh dear God, it is sixth grade all over again.
I was like watching it on my computer, and when it was fat, I was like, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was dead because I use fat right now whenever I play Overwatch. Okay, don't think I'm toxic, but this is my slogan. I will be playing a game. I don't know if you know what Overwatch is, but it's just a game, 6v6 game where you have to play with teammates. And sometimes they be in the team chat talking to you while y'all trying to win the game. And like my phrase is, you just went crazy, you fat ass bitch. And that's fat with a P. I always say that because I be so geeked. But okay, I'm so around this time, Val, they're talking, Gabriella, don't talk about my dress or whatever. So she got an extra pair of shoes on her person, but
she has an extra pair of shoes and an extra pair of outfits.
Yes, extra outfits to change.
Comes in handy because Val comes in and is being a little dick again, and grabs it's Peter's shoes, I think.
Yeah. I believe it's Peter's shoes, yes.
Peter's shoes, and throws them really kind of perfectly onto this random wire.
Mm-hmm.
And they
it goes around. My note for this was, there's no way he did that first try. Straight up.
This is real life. He would have missed it. Had to run over, grab the period 3 or 4 times before they got stuck on there.
Yeet.
I'm relatively good at throwing things, and I refuse to believe that this kid did this on the first try. Straight up.
Shoes are kind of like a weird object to throw, especially when tied together, because it's
it's the over. It's like the that lawn game where you have the 2 balls on the end of the rope, and you have to throw it like ladder golf. like it's like throwing one of those, except up 30 something feet. Fuck you, Val. You did not do. Oh, can we swear about Disney movies? F you, Val. You didn't do that the first time.
I think he might have did it, but okay, if he was from the hood,
stop giving him so much credit.
No, if Val was from the hood, he would have got it on the first try.
Does Val look like he's from the hood? I'm not gonna try to generalize here, but if there's one character in that whole thing that's not from the hood, it is Val.
He's from some cul-de-sac with a white family.
a pure family. Okay.
He's and from 2.5 kids, a white picket fence. Like there are shutters on that sided house. No, it's not Val. It's not Val who knows how to do that.
I don't want to.
He's the bad kid. He doesn't cut his hair.
Mm-hmm. No, speaking of hair, I don't want to slander kids. I don't know how old Andy was in this movie, but why did his hair look so greasy? Like,
yes.
if I don't,
especially when he stood next to Val, I'm like, dude, you need some better shampoo because Val's got the locks on you, and you could have the better hair, but
easy.
Because like Val's haircut, like the styling of Val's hair wasn't as good, but it wasn't like greasy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I got really annoyed with Brink is like he never buckled his fucking helmet.
I wrote that too. What's the purpose of it? What is the purpose?
I was like, I noticed it the first time when I was like, he better buckle his helmet, like clasp his helmet at some point. I don't know if he ever did.
I actually asked if Brink was Bryant from The Circle because between the vibes of like the good vibes and the this and that and his hair, it could have been Bryant. They could be one and the same. Have you ever seen them in the same room? No. Just saying.
At all. I was getting the same vibes. Do not worry.
Well, back to the shoe thing. What happens was then Gabriella gives like these pairs of shoes to Peter because she had an extra pair, and so she's gonna be walking around the school with like these little black heels, and then in her regular like outfit that she wants to wear.
I thought they were setting us up for a little bit of a romance.
I did too.
And I've seen this movie before, and I thought they were setting us up. I
was really heavily expecting. I think one of my takeaways from this was this would have worked really well as a TV show.
I think it would have too. I think it because yes,
there was a few plot lines. Like Boomer, I think would have been really much more developed if there was a TV show.
Speaking of people we thought were hot when we watched it, not Boomer the child, but I remember when I was a child thinking that Boomer was hot. And then I looked him up and he was the Black Power Ranger.
Yes,
and
Black
he's
Power
also
Ranger.
50 right now. Holy shit.
No, but like I think as a TV show it would have worked really well because I think there was a lot of plot lines I think that I was expecting. Maybe as an adult I'm reading too much into it, trying to find like everything. But like I pretty much from the first line that Boomer had, I was like, okay, something's going to shift with him because he was already like kind of going against Val because he's on the X Games mode. He's on X Games mode. I don't know what their team is called.
X-Blades. Team X-Blades.
He's X-Blades. He's like X-Blades and he's already kind of being like, Val, stop. I thought we were like, this is too much.
One thing, Black Power Ranger, hairline. I say your hairline's destroyed, bro. Why the hell you out here like that? But also, y'all saying he 50, so that means he was like 28 playing like a 15-year-old. So that's crazy. I'm just thinking, I'm doing numbers like this came out in 1998. That's 3 years.
I know you're lying.
23. He was like 27. He was up there playing a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old. However old Brink and them was, he was old as hell. Oh yeah. Also, okay. So basically, Gabby gives, Peter, her extra shoes. Said if you don't lace them up, they might fit. So shout out to that. And then they go to the next scene. So like next scene, what are they?
They're in class.
They're in class.
They're in science class.
They're in science class with the guy from Even Stevens. And this is the second movie that he was in. Like he was in Under Wraps at the very beginning as like a cameo. And then he was in this movie as a weird little cameo or whatever. But I thought that was interesting because I think Disney was like, okay, we're about to recycle these people. So they make a plan. Okay. So after they get out of class, nothing really happens in that class. I don't know. They really talked about little stuff, but it really wasn't that deep. So then they end up at like lunch, and they like devise a plan to get Val back for throwing Peter's shoes on the wire. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they do like a little sequence where like, the camera is moving and it's getting everybody doing a little plan shot or whatever. And basically, ultimately, the sandwich gets back to Val. So they take Val's sandwich, open it up, put some worms in it, and then give it back to him. How nasty was this part? Like, ew.
The thing that got me is both in the first prank and the second prank, the thing that stopped both groups from ratting on each other was don't be a wuss. The threat of not being a wuss is what kept their mouths shut, which is preposterous to me.
Crazy.
I cannot be a wuss. I'm not saying a fucking word. Can't do it.
I'm a skater.
Yeah, it's not. I soul skate. It's not even like snitches get stitches. It's just don't be a wuss, and that's what stopped them all.
They threw up a whole sign talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't be a wuss. I'm just like, okay, it's that easy to not have a motherfucker snitch. Okay, I wish. Type shit.
Like someone just say don't be a wuss, and you're good. You evaded the law. Crimes don't matter if you say don't be a wuss. Mm-hmm.
I actually felt bad for them at one point because I'm like, Val kind of irritating, Val kind of doing a lot or whatever, but they was antagonizing Val as much as he was antagonizing them. I ain't gonna hold you up. Like, so they was feeding into the bullshit.
It seemed like it was like a long feud too, like before like the movie even started, like but before what we saw, there was like they seemed like they were going after each other for like years, to be honest.
Most definitely, because soon as he decided not to be a wuss and tell on them, Val decides to, initiate like a bring it on battle with the other crew, and he was basically just like, "We about to skate, we about to have a skate off. We about to race, do a little relay race, and we're gonna do it at school." And Andy instantly like, this is against the rules, my guy. If we get caught, we're done.
Honestly, I think all fights should just turn into roller skating races. Because I think that is much more entertaining. Like,
so good.
I don't want to see people fighting. I want to see them jump over tables,
Get some speed.
Unnecessarily, though, the amount of tricks they did in that race for no reason. It's like you could have saved yourself some. You could be ahead if you didn't have to like grind on that rail.
Period.
Oh well, I'm gonna get plus 50 points here.
Period. Like they was playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater or something. Like what was going on? So basically, it's a relay race, and right before the ending, so it's the third leg. It's pretty neck and neck until the third leg, and Boomer, who is on the X-Blaze team, gets injured.
Like he runs into I think maybe a railing or something. Like hits his side and goes flips over it.
So Andy turns around and as the upstanding guy Andy is, he turns around to make sure Boomer is okay. Boomer is shook, and Val's also shook. And why are they both shook?
Well, also Val just said, "You know what? Let me tag him," and just I think he said, "You still breathing? Okay." And then he just yeeted himself out to go in.
Boomer, get up! Come on!
He was very upset that Boomer injured himself, because how dare he? But Boomer's very, I think, shocked. Boomer is very shocked to see Brink lend him a hand, and is aren't you gonna continue racing?
I also think I was confused because when he fell, I thought he broke his wrist or something. And then, not to fast forward too much, but when we see him on crutches, I'm like, I guess his wrist isn't hurt. I was so confused. I'm like, why is this dude in a boot? I thought he was holding his wrist. But okay, I guess Boomer hurt his leg.
I guess. I don't know what Boomer hurt. He hurt his whole little body. He said, "My Power Ranger energy is not going to fix this."
My bones are made of glass.
So basically, the nurses, the teacher, I don't know what she was. The teacher comes, busts them up, and then Andy gets suspended for the day. Basically,
did everyone involved in the race get suspended?
They didn't make that clear. I guess
Well,
okay.
I think so because at least the Pup and Suds, if we can as a group call them that, be the soul skaters, the skull skaters. Because they were all talking about it on a later scene when they were like on those big like bleacher step type things of like there was a lot of hugging and crying or whatever. So I'm assuming that all 4 of them did. But throwing it out there that as a teacher, if I saw kids rollerblading like that, I don't know if that would be like, I don't think there would be a half-day suspension. I think it'd be like, I actually had a kid put roller skates on in the middle of one of my classes when I was teaching in Boston, and he like went to like go hand his paper in, and he roller skated to do it, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's
this
like,
Brink. This isn't Brink.
Well, I said that to him, and then I'm like, or he goes, "Oh, I didn't bring shoes today because my friend brought roller skates for me. These are what I'm wearing all day." And I'm like, "Good luck getting up to the 3rd floor." That's literally all I said. Like,
Period,
go on.
Boom. I mean, I think it'd be cute to just see a kid just roll up on you. I mean,
yeah, I'm not sorry.
I do think the punishment was a little outrageous. I think maybe they should have gotten detention because one of them got injured in the race. Like, I understand, like, but that didn't seem like they were in trouble because one of them got hurt. It seemed like they were in trouble because they were roller skating.
It just this man almost like they were more leg.
And I feel like they got in trouble for Boomer getting injured and breaking his leg or wrist or whatever. It can change every scene if they wanted to.
They should have got in trouble for that, but they didn't. Like you were saying, they got in trouble for fucking rollerblade. I'm just like, this motherfucker almost lost his leg, his arm, whatever it was, and y'all talking about some rollerblade.
Also, how many times do kids been roller skating in that school for it to be like a well-known rule that they can't roller skate? Like,
right.
There's no races of any kind.
Not at all. Y'all are so funny. I got to stop. Okay, so basically, Boomer get hurt, and then Andy turned back to help. So then the nurse come, whoopty boop, they get in trouble, and then Andy's dad comes to pick him up. I wrote a quote down, but my writing is so bad. And I wish I could show. I'm gonna take a picture of this later. I tried to say, "You got this. You are beat." I don't know what I said, but basically the dad and Andy is in the car talking about how Andy just got suspended, and he just saying you gotta chill. You can't be doing this. Like, you have to be focused on school. And then they get to like a little fast forward after they get out my bad. I don't want to fuck up. The car breaks down on the way of them going home. So like after that, they go to the next scene and talk about how they're having financial issues. The mom and dad are talking because
I don't think we touched upon this, but the dad hurt himself on his job.
Yes.
Yeah.
He fell off a beam, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, something with a beam. And it wasn't gymnastics, it was construction.
No, just the dad in Brink is not a professional gymnast.
Period. He said,
I think it would have been much more interesting if he was a professional gymnast, but they decided construction injury.
Right, like that's
and his dad is mad that Brink chose rollerblading over gymnastics as his like childhood passion. And that's why he hates his kid.
Because at this point in the movie, he is really anti his own child. And I was watching this, I was just like, why does he hate Brink so much? Like, what did Brink do? Because at the same time, like, I don't know if we get to this point yet, but like his friends are complaining about their like status of parental guidance, and like they're all struggling with 1.5 parent households, maybe 2 households with a step parent, but they hate the step parent, and it's just like all over the place.
And he's like, I come from a nuclear family where the worst that happened is my dad got hurt one time.
Period.
For part of me, I was like, did I miss like it? Because like, is this his stepson who he hates? And it's like, and I'm like, it's like Katie was like, I'm like, is like Katie his full daughter, and that's why he like likes her more and like does it like Brink? I'm like, no, that's his full kid.
But he most definitely came out ball second. So basically he fell off the beam and he actually feel insecure about not being able to supply for his family. At this point in the movie, we didn't know this, but later on I found out that the mom was a realtor because she talked about selling a house. And I feel like that's little things you can just say and not wait till almost the end of the movie to say that, or whatever. Basically, in the background, Andy is listening to his parents talk about their financial issues. So when y'all saw him peeking around a little corner, how was y'all looking at Andy? Like, what was y'all feeling like?
I was like, here comes some conflict.
Yeah. I wrote down at that point, oh, money's going to tear the team apart.
Period.
Like, I saw the writing on the wall here.
He was crying and shit. I was like, oh, Andy, so sad. And he most definitely cared about his family. Okay. So I literally said he's sad. And I was like, oh. So then they switch to like them talking, and then it's Gabby talking about her Peruvian family. And then they all basically end up sharing some like weird type stories or whatever. And I don't know who called who a jerkweed, but that was funny. I wrote that down. Somebody called somebody a jerkweed, and I'm just like, the slang in the 90s was so funny. It had to be wild as hell. And then all of a sudden, Val and his crew comes to mess with them. Okay, so to retrace our steps, to introduce this, Boomer gets injured in the race they have at
and
the
can
school.
no longer roller skate.
Yes, Boomer no longer can roller skate. So what the X-Blade, and he was a part of the X-Blade crew. It's 4 of them, and it's Val.
Is what we like for now.
Yes. So they need to find a new person. So at this point, Val and crew comes to mess with, Andy and his friends.
Can we mention that one of the crew members' name is BJ? Who's naming a kid's character BJ? Come on.
Didn't they call him BJ at one point?
Yeah.
There was BJ.
I'm like, this is for the adults watching, so they can sit there and chuckle when BJ gets introduced.
They said, oh, here's BJ, here's HJ, and here's Cunnilingus.
Period. I was on the same team.
Like Connie for sure, short.
Yeah, not him being named BJ. Okay. So they talk about, including BJ was with Val, they talk about Boomer being injured and how they trying to find a new member. And they trying to really get Andy, aka Brink, to like switch sides and become an endurance skater. And at this point,
they're going about it in a really weird, like negging kind of way of like, let me bully you, and then you'll find this thing really attractive. And it's like,
also, how does Val know that Brink's family is falling apart financially?
Since when he does it? I'm like, since when did you know? Like, does he have? Like, how do you know about this child that you dislike family's financial issues, and that you're gonna be like, you know what? This seems like the perfect time to split up souls.
Period.
Money in front of their faces.
I think it's so funny because it was just so ironic that, Brink's family was going through financial troubles and Boomer got injured, and they actually wanted they actually wanted Andy to be on their team. And it's like they like low-key scouted Andy, pestered him, bullied him, made him feel like poop, and then basically said, okay, it's cash in this, so you actually could, make money for your family, which is wild. And at this point,
they also
Andy was
contemplating. They also were like, none of you come to it because we're not going to accept any of you on our team. So like, in my opinion,
blown. How did Andy keep that?
If I was Brink, if they came up to me just to tell me, hey, we have open spot on our team, but you can't join it even though we'll get money, I wouldn't fucking show up. I don't know.
Here's the other issue that I have here, and I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant, so sorry in advance. But
do what you gotta do.
For $200 a week, his dad said it was gonna cost $900 to fix that car. Brink would have to rollerblade for over a month just to afford to fix the car alone, right? Then the other things that are wrong, like, why is Disney trying to manipulate me as the fourth grader going into fifth grade, that $200 a week is a lot of money. That is what? That is not a lot a month. That's $800 a month. I'm poor as fuck if I'm making that. $800.
You gotta realize this was the 90s.
Like, I want to figure out.
Okay, I was alive in the 90s, and I'm pretty sure my dad was bringing home more than $800 in a month to support my family. The inflation isn't that big from now and from like 1998 till now. But I mean, I think that like
That's
maybe
84 cents an hour.
I think that these people, like our government watched Brink and was like, we can trick these people because they all grew up on this movie. We can give them $1,400 to get through this pandemic because they thought that $200 a week was a lot. And we're going to blame Disney Channel original movies for this. And it's the reason. Yep. That's it.
You heard it here first. Brink is the reason we don't have our stimulus checks.
It's the reason we didn't get the full 2,600.
I just did the math. Like 20, like of 24 hours a day, like 168 hours a week divided by 200. That's only like 84 cents. So they're getting 84 cents an hour.
Nothing.
$200 a week. And he would have to skate for 5 weeks.
As a teen, that is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But he was trying to pay bills. He wasn't trying to.
He's not making enough money to like shift. And also, why can't his dad go and just get a job that makes an extra $200 a week, or his mom? Like, come on, Dunkin' Donuts is down the road. Like, people need their coffee.
And they'll be getting more than $200 a week because they're going to be paying you more than 84 cents an hour.
Listen, the daddy was tripping because he most definitely could have found another job, but he was on disability at this point, so they had to have some kind of cash, right? Like, it seemed like he was chilling, but so
I was gonna say just start a GoFundMe, but that wasn't a thing.
The internet was barely a thing. We were still signing on to AOL. And not even the instant messenger.
Not even instant messenger.
We were using AOL with the discs that we would get in the mail, put it in like the CD-ROMs, and then you'd have that weird dial tone, and then you'd sign in and be like, "You got mail" every single time.
You're aging people. Stop, Carrie.
I have to be the resident old guy in this one, and I say old guy even though I'm a girl because we can sometimes mix up those words and not mean anything negative by it.
The guys is most definitely unisex, and the girls is most definitely unisex as well.
I wasn't alive when Brink came out, which is why. Like,
all right, kick him out. Remove from the stream.
Okay, so why?
I didn't kick out.
Period. No, you always allowed to stay.
I was going into 5th grade.
That's great. Wait, in 1998, I was 3. But wait, 1998?
I know because I will never forget this ugly ass T-shirt they gave us for graduating 5th grade in 1999.
Ooh, not this, Carrie. Okay.
So I won't forget. Every other grade, they had like you sign your name in like block lettering, like empty block lettering. You would just like write your name. But for my grade, they decided to put every kid's face on a T-shirt, and it's like so I do not want these clowns on my shirt. I got rid of it almost immediately, but I'll never forget it.
You shouldn't have got rid of it, but it's fine. You wouldn't have been able to fit it, but it was like a little, like, you know, he was probably, what, 2 feet tall at that point, Carrie?
I was born at 4'10", and I've stayed 4'10" since birth. It's crazy.
They thought you were going to be a really tall person. They thought you were going to be really tall, but you just stayed at 4'10".
You know, the way my dad used to buy me clothes, though, he thought that I was going to grow to be like 6'8". He's like, he'll still buy me things. Like, you'll grow into it. Like, well, the only way I'm growing is left to right, not up and down. Like, stop buying me big ass shirts.
I'm done growing, Dad. Okay, basically, when Val is like popping up on a crew, Andy actually contemplating because he see his family being broke and they struggling, so he's like, okay, I might actually have to fuck with this, but he's trying to keep it under wraps. But the whole thing is they skate.
That's the wrong movie, Ganjo.
Oh, got him.
What happened?
You said it was the wrong movie.
The wrong movie.
You said under wraps.
Not me saying under wraps. Basically, I don't know why I said that because I was reading. Basically, his family is broke, but they skate for fun because they are so skaters. And then they switch to training. Like they go back to like, the like little skating ring, they in a pit, and Andy is still contemplating like, I might have to join this team. I don't know, but he not like making it like very like, open to his friends, but they do peep that he's being weird, and his whole focus is on them hitting a 540. He like, you gotta hit that 540, bro. Like you gotta hit that. Everybody gotta hit them 540s. So he decides when he's sitting here like being weird, contemplating, he's like, okay, I look, he got a flake on his meeting. He make up some bullshit, but he really got a flake to go meet up with the ex-bladers and go try out for the team. So when y'all saw that, how shook was y'all?
And then was like, you know what? Don't come to the meeting. He still showed up. I don't know, like, because again, to me, I wouldn't have seen that as an invitation at all to come along and to like audition. It's not really auditioning. It's not a play. It's just sports.
It's an audition, basically.
Yeah, an audition or tryout.
But to try out, and it's like, I don't understand either of the thought processes of the Val or Brink here of why Val thought this would entice Brink to join, and why Brink thought this was an opportunity for him to join, even though he was very much told at the forefront, don't come.
If you go back though to the reasoning that Brink used to get the skateboarders to fight the X-Bladers, X-Blades, it's the same reasoning. It's that reverse like that, those so if Brink's gonna use that, likely to fall victim to it as well. And here he is showing up where did you notice there was like some grown-ass men trying out for this like 14-year-old rollerblading team?
There was a lot of grown men that were like either beefing with, like, this is like the second time like grown-ass men were like either auditioning or beefing with the children that skated.
Period. It's wild how much like
I guess they just wanted to be beefing with the kids. They just said, you know what, plop a 4-year-old, no one will notice.
Period. Just throw him in here and let him make it seem like he out here skateboarding or like, rollerblading. Yes.
It was actually Eric Von Ditten's dad getting an extra role on the movie.
It's Eric Von Ditten, Andy?
Yeah.
He looks like an Eric Von Ditten. I'm not gonna
did you guys watch The Mole?
No, I didn't.
He was on so as reality TV fans, The Mole is like one of the best shows, although there's some like underlying microaggressions that don't age well. But if you watch knowing that that's going to come up, the concept of this show was fantastic. And he was on a celebrity version of it with like Kathy Lee Griffin and stuff. It was on there. So.
Not him being considered a celebrity.
I can't remember if she won that one or not. I know Dennis Rodman won one.
Shout out to Dennis Rodman. Yes.
I tried to watch it. But I was trying to watch it because I originally thought The Mole was a Minecraft thing because I originally found out The Mole because of some Minecraft series people were making a mole Minecraft, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And then I found out like years later it was an actual show. And I'm like, great. I love that for me.
I might have to fuck with the celebrity version.
Definitely watch. You should watch the first season. It's probably the best one. But the overall fun TV show. I wish they never got rid of it, or I wish they would bring it back. The fact that it hasn't come back in like the resurrection culture is.
Scary. They love bringing shit back. So.
I know, but this one still hasn't made the cut. I don't know why. I need someone with some pull to make this happen for me. But anyway, yeah, he was on the celebrity version, and that's why I know his name exactly. But go on. Because when he was on the celebrity version, I'm like, oh, that's Brink.
Period. He don't got Eric. His name's not Eric. His name is Brink. What was I about to say? Okay, so basically, Andy shows up to the X-Blades, I guess, tryout training session, and he's at the end hiding behind some boxes. He trying not to, really stand out. And we see that the skaters that showed up are really bad, and Val isn't like really feeling it. And then we also find out in the exact scene that Val thinks that Andy, I will call him Aiden. Oops. Andy is his secret weapon. And basically he feels like Andy is not going to pop up, and then out of nowhere, Boomer sees him in the background and like, okay, Andy is here. You spoke too soon. He popped up or whatever. So when Andy comes to talk to Val, he kind of like Val does also some weird things. Like it's the reverse psychology stuff where like Val feels like if he tells him that he's a piece of shit, that he will want to join his crew, and he basically tries to like kick him out and then force him to do like a little 30-second speed run. So like in this whole scene, like I guess Esme, you could start. How did you feel looking at Val talk to Andy? Because it felt very crazy to me.
I thought maybe this was something of like maybe trying to push him to do better than he would either way, like to really show that like he's better. Like, because if he's getting shit on, you want to prove to people that like that you're not as shit as like that they're not shit, but that you are the shit, but they're not shit. So I think like that could have been it, but I don't fully know. Like, I think that's what I kind of got out of it, was that it was pushing, maybe like in a weird way, was pushing him to try to get him to do better.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't surprised. I felt like that was everyone's talking that way to each other in this movie.
I also wasn't surprised. I'm like, okay.
Like dad's talking to son that way. No wonder. But to be fair, maybe that's no wonder why Brink responds the way he does, because like his dad's like, stop being happy, so he's happier. So like, you suck at skating, so he goes and puts on a great 30-second show. Like it all, it runs with like the way that, I don't know, because I was going to say enemies talk to each other in this movie, but I don't know if Dad and Brink are technically enemies. They're enemies for now until Dad softens up a little. But no, I wasn't surprised by any of that.
But it also seems like the dad is enemies with his son, but the son isn't enemies with his dad.
Right, it's definitely a one-sided rivalry.
Oh, he loves his daddy. And his daddy at this point is literally, I wish I never had you. Damn near. I swear, that's the vibes I'm getting. I'm just like, bro, this is your child.
You know, it's like that quote from like the Family Odd Parents, like, when do you think your life ended? How old are you? It's like, and the dad turns to his son, is like, how old are you?
Here's a little funny story, is that my, like a trifold wallet, my dad had one of those, and he had my picture in the middle, and he goes to me out of nowhere one day. I was probably like 6 or 7. I'm not very old, but I remember this. It was before Brink, let's put it that way. And Brink was going into 5th grade. He's like, you know what why I keep your picture here? Because I have 2 younger brothers and obviously like my mom, so there's other people he could have had the picture. And he goes, well, every time I open the wallet, I see your face, and it makes me just want to shut it immediately. I'm like, so my dad should have written lines for this movie for Brink's dad. My dad could have escalated this.
We stand Carrie's dad.
Maybe that's why you like Brink so much, because you saw your dad in the dad, and you saw your dad.
I saw so much of like myself in this movie between Gabby. I've got some Katie-esque lines from time to time.
Your dad.
My dad was like a roided up version of their dad.
Not roided. Period.
I hope Walt never comes across this. If you do, I'm talking about my other dad. I'm definitely not tracking you right now.
Yes.
Hi, Walt.
Carrie. Yes. So at this point, Val's playing hard to get, but he proves himself in this like little weird 30-second run, and like he gets introduced. Before this, he gets told by Val that it's $200 a week minimum, and if you win tourneys or anything, you get more cash. So then a little bit after Brink does his speed run, he meets the owner, who gives me very slimy vibes. Like he was just like, I need you 24/7, and it really gave me exploitation vibes. And then at the very end, right before he signed him on the team, he was like, are your parents okay with this? And I'm just like, listen, you went through this whole process, had him try out, and now you're trying to find out if his parents is okay. So Carrie, how did you feel about the slime ball X-Blade, owner, I guess? I don't know what you call him.
I thought the worst thing that he did was not introduce Brink to all the X-Blade groupies that were in the background. Did you not see all those like like hot blondes in the back, like sitting there watching their tryout. Like they were there. There's groupies for X-Blaze and no one introduced Brink to them. That's rude. Let the dude find a love interest.
There was like no love interest. There was like no love plotline.
I did think it was just very weird that like the X-Blades had these very distinguished. Like I don't know if you've seen Friday Night Lights, but
there was like two, at least two blonde girls. And like I don't know if they were like girlfriends of the people because like
DJ's got a girlfriend.
There's also like there's a scene later on at the bench with like outside with Boomer and like one of the blonde girls is there too. I'm like, so it's like, is she on the team? Is she dating one of them? I'm very confused. Like, or is she just like, my mom is making me hang out with my brothers. My mom is making me hang out with my brother's roller skating team again.
I don't know if that was it. I personally thought that it was like how in Friday Night Lights they had the rally girls that were basically like, we are the girls meant for the football players to do what they want with. Like, I thought that was the X-Blades version of it, was those couple girls in the background. And so I thought the sleaziest thing that the owner of the X-Blades did was not introduce Brink to those girls, because if he's on the team, he should get to know them too.
I agree. It should have been most definitely a common knowledge of camaraderie, everybody getting to know everybody, but not introducing Brink to the women was very disrespectful to the women, because what's wrong with this?
They said, "Oh, you're background characters. We don't want you guys to have lines."
Period. So basically,
if this was a TV show, we would have developed a storyline for you, but unfortunately, we have an hour and 20 minutes.
And this is like, I think this was also because we were just gotten more Brink content, and I liked it. Make a Brink TV show. Thank you very much, Disney. You made a Mighty Ducks TV show. Where's Brink? Where's Brink? Where's Brink?
No, they could have did something with Brink. I think, okay, and just throw some shit out there before. I think that was a good like read on Brink being a good show. I think Disney was the opposite, where like they would have a show and then turn it into a movie more so than have a movie and turn it into a show. I think like they wasn't on that level of thinking at that point. Like they were like years even away from that opposite of thinking. Like it took them, I feel like, a few tries of shows to be like, okay, I trust this show enough to give them a movie, because they was just, doing whatever they was doing in the decom situation, taking out those TV shows.
Yeah, I think we've gotten to a point where it's like, now we have a few shows based off of pre-existing decom movies. Like we have the High School Musical show, we have the Mighty Ducks show. I think those actually might be one of the only two. There might be others that I'm missing. But like, I think we're starting to get more of rebooting franchises into TV shows.
I mean, I feel like it's more of a risk, because I think a show going to a movie, I think it's easier than a movie going to a show, because I know we were like going off on a tangent at this point, but a movie has to be fully fledged out, where you have to introduce a character, introduce supporting characters, and introduce a storyline damn near instantly, and you have to get the whole story done in like an hour and 30. But when you have a TV show, you're able to stretch that out at least over one season, and that season could be 7 hours long versus 1.5 hours. So like, you're just way more able to fully fledge out characters when you like have a TV show. But one thing in this movie that like, I don't know if it was the first instinct of me getting this, but like a little after this, Brink gets home right when he signs, and like, he has his bag of gear, and his little sister Katie is sitting in the front yard, and she's like, "What's in the bag?" And he's like, "None of your business." And like that none of your business. I think that's the first time I ever heard none of your business. It had to be. And I was like, "Ooh, look at him." Look at him early knowing what's going on. But like, he just like, yeeted her the other way or whatever. And then he went to his room, kind of like opened his little gear up and like, hid it in his clothes basket. Like, I guess he was scared that his parents would see the X-Blades gear, but like, why do you think like he was so nervous about having like that stuff there?
It could also be like, it could be he's still friends with these people. At this point, he's still really close with these people, with his his soul, not Soul Surfer, Soul Skater. That I can't. Too many
his soul sisters.
Soul Sisters.
His soul sisters, yes. So like maybe they come over and he doesn't want like them to see it.
I think it was to hide from his parents, because didn't we have the conversation where he was like, okay, so I'm gonna help out with money. I got a job, and his parents are like, oh yeah, and it's like
the mama first was like, you don't have to do that, like
yeah. And then dad was like, no, get a job. So like
we're about to get to that. We're literally about to get to that point.
Yes, I thought that happened before.
No, right.
That's
before,
why he was hiding it.
Yes, he was hiding it because he didn't go to dinner yet. I don't believe. And then when
okay.
he went to dinner, you can continue now. Basically, he hides the shit and then goes to dinner and he talks to his parents about potentially getting a job.
And the mom at first is like, you don't need to do it. You're a kid. Like, we can figure out like our financial issues. And the dad's like, no, get a job. And then as soon as he says it's about skating, he was like, nope, you're not getting that job.
I was like, who is this man?
But doesn't that show like the difference in generations of like, I feel that now if it's almost seen as like, well, why do you have this passion if you aren't going to make it your side hustle?
Period.
Now with the dad is like, no.
How strict they were, how much these people were about like, if you make money off of this, we're sellouts. So like, that's a very interesting way to think about it, because like, as someone who does art stuff, like I want to be able to make money off of it and make it like a living. And like, so it's very interesting, like seeing it like them so strictly say like, if you make money off of this, you're a sellout, and it means you're not like actually you're only in it for the money.
Something that kind of like aligns with that was very like a prominent thing, especially with music, was like bands going from unknown or little known to big, that like the accusations of being sellouts during, I feel like the 90s to like mid 2000s,
it was a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely heavier than it is now. Like I think now that like our generation's more like, oh, you're making money off of, like, good, go get your money,
get your bag.
I think it's not, I think the view of it has shifted into like, we want you to succeed so that you can like we want artists that we like to succeed, like we want to see them thrive so that they can make even more income,
versus this dad being like, oh, there's something you love and you can make money, then you're absolutely not allowed to do this. Instead, you have to go wash dogs.
I at first when I saw this, I was like, okay, why is this dad being such a dick? Why doesn't he want his child to basically be able to make money off something that he loves to do or whatever? I think what happened was circumstance, to be honest. And obviously the dad was a real big dick at this point. Like he was like being very anal and just being just like very honorary. And it was kind of weird to like watch. But first of all, around this time he started, maybe coming around, but I feel like he felt like his child was skating and getting in trouble. The skating was getting him in trouble, basically. He got suspended from school, first day back, and you're skating and it got you in trouble. So I think the dad was more so looking at it like, okay, I do feel like I see you want to make money, but you have to make money another way because you're not responsible with skating right now. But I don't know. We'll see.
That's a very mature viewpoint of it, and I'm like, fuck you, Brink's dad. Let him do what he wants.
I'm like, let him live. He doesn't have to live up to your standards, Dad.
I'm over here writing like, why don't you get the job then, Dad? Like,
Barry, no, I mean, I was on the exact same tip. But like, I think
we're gonna start hashtag cancel Brink's dad on Twitter.
We can't though, because he actually comes around.
Yeah, he does.
That's really what I think. That's really where I'm talking from right now. The future of Brink's dad, of how he comes around and of where he is or whatever. And I do
very
like
quick. That. It still felt very quick.
And I literally said, before this, Katie was eating like a savage. She was talking about, and she was like, well, if I have a high metabolism, why not use it? And I was like, okay, baby, you talking some real shit. Eat your food. So, like you said, he introduced becoming a pro, or not a pro skater, an indoor skater, getting $200 a week. The dad is not feeling it. He feels like you need to be worried about school. And I literally said the dad was annoying. A job is a job, my guy. And this is why I know, like, I turned around on him because I actually started feeling a different way towards the dad at one point. So him and Peter are on a phone talking, and like, while they're talking, we don't get like the full conversation, but we kind of get the tail end of it where Peter's stepdad really wants the phone. So around this time, Andy is trying to tell Peter that he's joined the X-Blades, but since Peter is so busy, he cannot really, understand what Andy is talking about. He's really not feeling it. He's not picking up what Andy's putting down. So Andy is not able to tell them exactly that he basically turned on the other side. So why do you feel like Andy stopped right here? Like, my whole thing was, okay, you couldn't tell Peter here. You still had ample amount of opportunities to tell them.
School the next day with these kids,
Mm-hmm.
and like
they seem to have every class together as well. So I don't know how they finesse this schedule.
I don't know. There's 4 of them, right? Because there's another one who I can't remember his name.
Jordy. Poor Jordy. He's gotten forgotten like 3 times already.
He was so relevant though, so I ain't gonna hold you.
I forgot he exists. I'm sorry to this man. He could be walking down the street and I wouldn't recognize him.
I mean, I wouldn't either. To be fair, it's fine.
No, but like, I think, because I think all the other ones like even Peter, who's less of a main character than the other, and I feel like the less memorable than the other 2, still has more like stuff going on, I think. But yeah, my question is, how did all 4 of these kids finesse like having all their classes together? Because it's not like they're in elementary school,
They're crazy. I want the tea on what they did, man. I want the tea, Curry. Like, okay, what did they do? What did they do to get this amazing ass schedule?
We're a skating team. We have to have the classes together.
And it's not even the fact that they have the same classes. They had a nice ass class. Like, they end up in home economics together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? That's like the best class you want to be with somebody.
I've learned that the way that kids get what they want when they're in school is to email the principal, because the principal just wants to keep the parents happy. If you complain enough to the principal, it's weird because like we can't be left a bad Yelp review, but we are still treated like we can be left a bad Yelp review. Because we have some of that stuff going on right now.
2 out of 10 stars on
Period. So what you're saying is, Carrie, that if my kid ever got into it with a teacher, just cut into the principal and then I can get it fixed.
1,000%, because principals have other people they need to respond to, and they care more about the optics that way. Like, God forbid this ever gets into the hands of the wrong people, but if you complain on my school's Facebook page, you will get whatever the fuck you want. So
hey, let's not plug the Facebook page. Let's not, but same. Okay, so fuck the Facebook pages, fuck the principals complaining, whatever. So they're in home economics, and then Val comes over to the group.
And they're making a very messy cake. They have all the fucking frosting and flour.
The cake was non-existent, Esme. The cake was not real. I don't know what that cake was. It was just like mess everywhere.
More of it was on their faces. I don't know how they were so messy.
Period. So Val comes over in a group. I don't know if Val's also in this class, but somehow he's in the class, and he basically exposed Andy, made him look like a little wimpy with he kind of exposed Andy to his friends. He was playing dumb, but in all, basically Val came up and was like, say I'm not a bad person to his friends, and in front of your friends, you have to tell them. You said what, Esme?
Because I'm gonna say one of them calls him a dick, which I know it's not. I know that's not the word they use in this Disney Channel movie, but like
basically he was.
But yeah. I don't know what they call what. I don't know what.
I forget what it was.
I forgot what it was.
Gabrielle basically is like, "You're a dick," and he's like, "Val's like, really? Brink, do you think so?"
Well, because I don't know if we mentioned that Val made it part of the deal in Andy joining X-Blades that Brink can't talk shit about Val in front of his crew anymore. That he has to be nice to him. Which, I mean, really now makes the word wuss worth absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. You can't even call this man a wuss. Oh my god. So Andy,
there was also, I think before this, there was like this quick scene of him being like, making a cake is like a team. It's like a team. So and I think he's trying to gear up to try to say that he joined, but then he gets interrupted by Val in that situation. So he doesn't call him a douche. I don't know what word it was. I think it started with a D.
I forgot. I usually write it down, but I just didn't catch what exactly he called him. I just know Andy was playing dumb at first, and he was not trying to let his friends actually peep game to, like, you know, him actually going to the other side. But okay, and this is my problem with Andy. I feel like he had plausible deniability with his friends to be like, my parents are struggling. We're good skaters. I have to apply for this team to get some cash. Period. But it just seemed he just didn't want to do that to his friends. Like he just felt so bad, even though his family needed money. So it was just very wild to me.
And I think, like, for me, it was much more like, if I was in that situation, I would have been much more upset with the lying about it, like about the sneaking around about it for so long, more than like I would have been annoyed, like, hey, like, these people have been dicks to us since we know them. Like, I don't understand why you're getting it, but like, if you need this money, I understand. But like, I personally would have wanted, like, if I was in, like, let's say Gabby's shoes, much more, like, would have been much more upset with the sneaking and snaking and backs and like lying about it for so long.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. Like, I think it was more so the lying, because I think if he would have told them, they wouldn't have. They would have been like, "We're so scared, so you can't be on tip like that." But like, I think they would have been okay with, you know, him looking out for his family. Wow. Okay, so they skip to the scene where Brink is practicing at the facility. Everybody loves it, but Val. He tells him, "Do it again." And like, Brink is chilling, laying in the bed, like, bro, I just went crazy. He like, you didn't give me my oil, you have to do it again. And he basically told, like, I basically said they scared of this man. He tells him to do it again or vacate the premises. Like, and then when Brink actually goes back up to, you know, do the run again, he says, "Good doggy." My whole thing is, why are you disrespectful? You want this man to be good. You want him to be like your star. Because I feel like Brink ended up being the star of that team, no matter what Val want to say. You want this man to be the star. Everybody like him, but you telling him, "Go again, doggy," or "Good doggy" to go again. Like, Val, are you okay? Are you insecure, my guy? What's going on here?
Yes.
I treat my dog with more respect than that. Just throwing it out there. I have a dog and he gets treated far better. He has LED lights on his balcony. I would never treat my dog the way that Val treats Brink.
I have a dog and we treat her better too. Treat your dogs better than Val treats humans.
Period. Yes. No matter what, because Val is a poo-poo head. We don't like Val.
And that was also
pulling out the big words there.
Val's also just a big poo-poo head to everyone, to the other people on his team.
He just overall sucks, and he sucks so bad that, you know, he made Brink potentially do this run multiple times, and it made Brink late for his friend's like training session, and he was actually 2 hours late. And they basically cut into his ass like, "Bro, fuck is you doing? You do not need to be this late, whatever's going on." And along the way, Peter still complaining about his stepdad, you know what I'm saying? Little anecdotes about his stepdad being a poo-poo head. And they're trying to talk to Brink, and he's like, you know, like, he kind of being sus, you know, and they know at this point that a spot has been filled on the X-Blades team. But Brink is still not telling them. or whatever, that he is on the team at this point. So they leave this spot, and he talks, like, he goes home and he has a discussion with his dad, and they discuss about him not skating, him potentially getting another job. And then this introduces basically I don't know what you call it, a sequence of
like a time lapse
of his day, of him working his new job, going to school, training with his friends, and then studying for school. So how do you guys feel about what's going on here? How do you feel about what load Brink has put on his own back?
I did that in high school. I don't feel bad for him at all. Like, it wasn't rollerblading, but I was playing 2 sports a season and coming home, eating dinner, and then doing homework, and then doing it all again, and then like working.
I don't feel bad for him either, because he put this all on himself.
And
He most definitely did.
the other thing that gets me here is, all right, Brink, let's use our brain that you don't walk in with your helmet, you leave it free balling, right? Is if you leave Team X Blades and just do the pup and suds job, you would get the money that you're making, and you wouldn't have to betray your friends. I ruined the movie if that happens, but just saying, we could have done that. You could have probably upped that to 5 days a week after school, or maybe like 3 days and then on weekends.
Like you could have been like, let me get more hours at the job, because also I know you're getting paid more than $200 a week for that job, because I know they're paying you more than 83 cents. I can't get over the fact that it's like 89 or 83 cents an hour.
In fairness, because you did it divide by 24, and you're not getting paid for like working 24 hours a day, so it probably averages out to like $2 or $3 an hour. So but nonetheless,
it's still by 3. You times 24 by 3.
No, I divided it by the hours. I divided it by the hours within a week.
Yeah. So that was if it's like every single hour, but nonetheless, it's still not great.
Before I forget, Carrie, did you play softball and soccer in high school?
Softball, and so I played softball year round. I played soccer like fall and winter, and then
having the shit mixed up.
And then I did like some I played basketball to 9th grade. Otherwise, I did track to like get ready for softball, for being fast.
Yes, we love it, Carrie. I most definitely also ran track, so yes. But yes, Brink was like on some weird stuff. Yeah. Brink was actually supposed to be like a happy character, I feel, but he just was like weird. Like he like did like a lot of weird. He had a lot of weird decision making skills.
Not to like make this realistic, but I see kids go through this all the time as a high school teacher, where all of a sudden they're like, I want a job, but I also want to do sports, and I want to do, and it's all of a sudden they're like have taken on too much, and they're just miserable. But also he's miserable because he's had to lie to everybody he cares about.
That's what I'm talking about. The job is not what I'm talking about. Most definitely him actively choosing to lie to his friends. That's just so weird to me. And actually lie to his his dad as well. I mean, I put he's a hard working student and worker, but the bills need to be paid, and it need to be paid. And I also put, this is where I put his mama kind of sexy. That's when she tucked him into the the bed, and I was like, okay, his mama kind of cute. Okay,
when Ganjo makes a tier list of all the Disney Channel moms, the decom moms.
I most definitely should. So basically, after this long ass stressful day of him being an adult, this is basically what Brink ended up being this day. He wakes up the next day, quote unquote, sick. And this is where Peter is coming to like help him out. And we find out basically Brink is acting sick because he has to create a plan to get his friends to not go to the skating invitational.
Not acting suspicious at all.
Not acting suspicious at all. But he also was competing at this skating competition because he did not tell them at this point that he was a part of the X Blades. And so he goes.
Yeah, so like he's like, I'm dying. And I couldn't get over the fact when he's like, can you pass me a tissue? And he leans over the bed and squirts his fist with like the squirt bottle. And I'm like, you need to stop. This is getting too much.
Well, I was
Period.
like very caught up in the fact that we've been in a pandemic for over a year, and I'm like, why are you sending him into the room with the sick kid?
I'm like, where's his mask?
We don't
Period.
do that anymore.
I'm like, where's his mask?
Yeah,
I
seriously.
was like, where's his hand sanitizer? He needs to sanitize his hands real quick.
He did a lot to like just not get his friends to like not go. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? He could have did so many different like things to get his friends to actually not go. Maybe initiate a plan for them just to be busy at this time.
Yeah, and says just like, no, don't go. That's it.
And also, like,
I'm
he said it
convinced.
so violently. He
Convinced.
says, like, he's like, we might go check out. Like, they're like, oh, we might go check out our competition. He's like, no. I'm like, that wasn't suspicious at all. Their love.
Mhm. Period. So they have like a skating montage at this point, and it's like I guess it's of like, you know, of all the, you know, different people like competing, and then they actually like flash in between, like, you know, the people training, which is his friends training or whatever. And we discover that Andy was late as hell to this invitation, which I'm starting to realize Andy always late. And he also wears shades to disguise himself. And Val looked at him like, what the fuck is up with these shades? And Brink all like, listen, new look. I'm about to go out here and ball out, and it's about to be fun. Don't even worry about the shades I'm wearing. And then Val like, okay, whatever. So right before he goes, his friends, they flash over to his friends, you know, training and, you know, having a session. And they're like, well,
They're like, what's the point of training right now if he's not here? Like, we're kind of wiped out too. So let's go check out the competition.
which makes sense because
It's like, it makes sense. Like, their training kind of came to a natural end for that day. Why not go check it out? And they're not expecting to see their friend. They're not like their
team captain,
period.
On another team,
the souliest of their soul skaters.
It's not the one who created the soulness of this. And it's my whole crazy thing is, it's like, how do you convince? That's like, okay, it's like convincing a basketball player not to go watch a basketball game.
Yeah, like the next team you're playing in the tournament.
What, Brink? Like, how did you think this was gonna be okay? Or whatever. So basically, he's late as hell to the invitational. Val is obviously pissed. And while the friends are on their way to the invitational, Brink has his, you know, turn to go. So Brink goes, and once Brink finishes, he gets what? He gets a 97 on the board. He gets a really high score on the board.
That, like, they come in, and I think either like right at the start or right in the middle of his thing, and they're like, that doesn't.
He doesn't look Korean, is what they said.
Because he lied. He was like, he's Korean. No,
some big Korean dude.
And Gabriella most definitely peep game.
No, Gabriella knew instantly. Because I think Gabriella was already sus of this man for like, she knew something was up.
Yeah.
She said, oh, we have an imposter on our team. So she was sus of that. And I think she knew instantly that it was him.
And she pushed his ass down. They all cut into his ass. When he was done, he basically gets like an extra 200 from like his like boss, I guess, because they won. He get an extra 200, which wasn't shit, to be honest. But right when he was on cloud nine, when he got that money for his fam, Gabriella came in, pushed his ass down, say, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And they basically cut into Andy, basically for lying to his best friends about what he was doing. So, Esme, how did you feel about, basically, did you feel like their emotions were justified, or do you feel like they were overdramatic?
I think they were justified. I think not only did he betray them by joining this other team, he betrayed their trust, he lied to them, he put their training at risk, he like fucked over them in a lot of ways, so I understand a lot of their anger.
What did they expect out of a person who decides that a pair of oval black sunglasses is going to be the best way to hide all these lies from them? What type of emotional and mental capacity are you expecting from this human? Just saying.
He didn't go like to Party City and buy a Hannah Montana wig.
He barely tried. He said, "I'm about to be disguised for my friends with some sunglasses, and that's it."
And like,
Like,
not even,
at least
and
try
not
the
even,
facial hair, a beard, something.
and not even, and there weren't even like big sunglasses that covered up most of his face. There were like sunglasses that were like
He
this.
barely covered his retinas. Barely covered.
Barely. That's when Gabriella came in. She like,
They
I know
looked like
exactly who this is.
a flattened out pair of tanning goggles.
Yes,
It was so
it
bad.
did. And I'm like, you really thought those like the glasses that were like this fucking big were gonna cover your identity?
Mm-hmm. No, it was very bad. Like I think Andy was off a beam when he thought that was really about to keep them away from knowing who he was. And I was just looking at him like, Andy, come on, boy. I was just like, you literally came in raw as hell, said, "Oh, this not me." But Andy like gave me like no shade to my nephew, but like, and my nephew's also like 11 or 12. But he gave me my nephew vibe so much, like really wanting to please people and not knowing how to please. I don't know, no shade to my nephew, but I think my nephew's only 12. I feel like that's kind of how he is. He feel like he wants to like please people, but he feel like he doesn't really know how to. And like in this exact situation where like he basically gets exposed for shifting on his team and like, you know, trying to make money a certain way. And like I said before, he could have done this any other way, but he didn't. He tried to be grimy with it. So like when his friends found out, they dipped out. They're like, "Bro, you want some bullshit? We up out of here. We're not about to be friends with you." And he tries to go with them, and Val like weirdly stops him, Andy, and then Andy kind of just like, "Bro, get the fuck off me. I'm about to leave." So they pop up like, okay, so I guess it fast forward after like they catch him in this race. It fast forward to them like on the pier, and Jordy, Gabriella, and Peter are all chilling, you know, eating some pizza or whatever. They like at the pier chilling, and Andy awkwardly pops up and asks them if he can sit down. They say yeah.
And as soon as it sits down, they all get up.
That was like the deluxe version of the like high five. Oh, too slow. Like that was the top notch.
I love seeing that. I was just like, okay. I mean,
teamwork makes the dream work, even in dissing your former captain.
And honestly, it was better than you can't sit with us.
They just said they didn't even say you can't sit with us. They just made sure you knew you wasn't sitting with them. Like it was amazing. I mean, at this point, Andy is very regretful, and like he feels like really bad about like what he did to his squad,
and as he should.
And then Val pops up to show at the same time Andy is feeling very conflicted. Val pops up to show Andy that
we're not gonna ditch you, bestie.
Yes, you turned on them, they left you. We turned on, like I actually can't even. I don't even know the optics of this. He turned on his friends, and his friends left him, but he turned on Val, but Val feels like he didn't like turn on him. So like he was there to like, okay, even though you turned on me, I still fuck with you. So I felt that was very weird and very manipulative from Val. I keep calling him Vance, but basically for Val.
I'm so sorry.
Not this. Basically, Val identifies kind of how he needs to like really hit Andy, basically to hit him where it's like, we didn't turn on you, bro. Even though you turned on us, we didn't turn on you. So you actually should still work with me. So Esme, how do you feel like, do you think that reverse psychology, because at this point it's like reverse psychology. Do you think it is still working on Andy, or like,
I think in this situation it did. Because like then we have the race between him and Gabby.
Yeah, I think it's just he wants to skate. That's the core of it, and so they're not going to let me skate. There's still a spot here where I can on X Blades, even though it's a team of jackwagons. Like, well, I guess I'll settle here for now if they're not going to take me back.
The city of jackwagons.
That sounds like an album title.
Period.
Owl City, except it's the city of jackwagons.
We love to see it. So basically after like Val kind of like pressures Andy to come back to X-Blaze after he kind of leaves. Andy goes home and like he's really struggling. So like his dad comes out to like the porch, he talks to him and he like low-key actually treats him like a fucking son and a dad. Like it was basically like a whole flip of the energy the dad had earlier. And I was just like, okay, I actually like this. And it actually gave Andy a position to fess up and basically tell his dad, like, I low key still been skating no matter what, and booty boom, booty bam. And I felt like his dad really was like very cute. And I actually like he basically told him like it's not that deep. And if you really need like to talk to somebody, you can always talk to me. Wooty wooty bam. And I really wrote down, I was like, this is what tip I want to be on with my kid. Because like it was so cute. Like he went from like not really fucking with Andy to like actually sitting there hearing his like basically disputes and hearing his problems and actually trying to help him through it. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Most definitely. I guess it skips basically to like the next scene where they're talking about training on the fast course, which is the downhill course. And they feel like they need to get some kind of practice on it, but they just don't know. Hold on. And basically the X-Bladers also pop up. So the X-Bladers pop up. So it's Gabriella, Jordy, and Peter basically versus the X-Bladers, who is Val, DJ, aka BJ, aka Deej, Randy,
It's okay,
and obviously Andy. What's his full name?
No.
Not this. I almost said it. But basically, they was lining up at the line. So both sections were trying to like train on this course because they knew this was a fast course. And they knew this was going to come up, in the final tournament. So what happens is Val suggests that Andy battles, somebody else on the other team, on the race, and it just so happened that Gabriella.
I think Gabriella steps up, or
Gabriella steps up too.
Was this before or after they made that problematic "go back to where you're from" joke?
Listen, I wrote that down. Oh my god!
I said classic white man racism with Mexico. But to be fair, earlier in the movie, he also threatened to kick her ass, which is like, oh, so we're beating women of color. We're,
I said some racist shit somewhere on here. It's somewhere here.
As soon as that, we need to talk about this man. And then that's where El Stupido come. Like,
no, when he said, you need to go back to Mexico, I was like, first of all, she clearly said she was from Peru. El Stupido. But it's just like, damn, Disney was bold to show white people being racist and like this early. Like, and to be honest, I gotta give kudos to Disney because I know racism has been a thing for a while. But this was a Disney show. This is a Disney movie, and like they clearly showed a motherfucker being racist. And and I don't take it as them trying to be racist. I think they was literally showing how
it was coming from the antagonist's mouth, the person who's been the kind of the main antagonist the whole movie. It wasn't like it was coming from one of her friends. It wasn't like it was coming from Jordan's mouth, and it was supposed to be played off really humorous. It was more played off. It wasn't, at least to me, I didn't read it that they were trying to make it seem like it was fun.
Right. No, at all. No, they most definitely said some shit like Val, you're racist, basically.
And, and I think in this time, it could have gone either way. Like, it could, like, if it came from anyone at the friend's mouth, it would have been more played off as this is a joke. This is fun. But I think it was much more played off. I think they did it the right way of like playing it off, of showing that it wasn't okay to say. Like,
and it's also just building the evidence for later on when everyone realizes how big of a piece of shit Val is. So it's just like another. It's not just he did this, this, and this, but he also was racist. So.
Okay, does it? Okay, I have a question for both of you. Like, I don't think it was force fed to us, but like basically the fact that he was a shitty person, but like off a rip, I kind of got a slimy vibe from him, if that makes sense. Like, did you guys both get that same slimy type of vibe?
Yes.
From Val off rip? Okay, no, I most definitely wanted to ask that question. So I mean, he did good with that because I actually felt he was like really on some grungy shit. Like he just wasn't a normal kid. Like he just was like evil. Like he just had an evil mentality. And we about to actually talk about how evil he can get.
It gets
soon.
It gets progressively. I think this is the worst that it gets. This is the worst that it gets.
No, most definitely.
But it's also like there's also other instances down the line later on, more towards the end. I don't think they're as bad as what happens here.
He's the one that should have had Brink's hair. He should have the greasy hair to
Period.
symbolize him as a person.
They should have showed. They should have put his greasy ass. When the cast, they're like, "Oh, your hair's a little too greasy for this role. You two switch. You two switch roles."
Period. I mean, I wish they would have just gave this man Brink a shower because, like, it was simple.
I also wonder though, because like Moose was a big.
I think he's too busy skating to shower.
Could be, but Moose was also a big thing then, and Moose made your hair look like that. So, like it could have been purposeful, but also in 2021, Moose doesn't really like. Moose is just an animal. It's not a hair product.
It looks. In 2021, we don't think of it as a hairstyle. We think of it much more.
No, I only know Moose from Black people. I didn't even know white people use Moose.
I used to use it to keep the little like baby hair flyaways like where they should stay.
It makes like I want to say it makes like I guess Black people hair like more thick and curly per se. It's like obviously already curly, but I think it clumps it more. I think it clumps up or whatever.
Yeah, it definitely gave my hair a weird texture. And I don't mean weird in a bad way, just like this is my hair having showered once and brushing it once. Like it made it not this.
Oh, I understand. Looking what Brink look like, I can understand what Moose could be like. But basically, so after Val says that little racist comment about you should go back to Mexico, Gabriella steps up like, bro, I'm about to buck the fuck up. It don't matter. I can skate. I don't care if I'm skating against Brink or anybody. I'm about to, do this thing. And at this point, I think Gabriella actually had a good chance and actually at least staying with Brink. Or doing good, like they start, they go, Gabriella out here jumping off of trucks
before the race happened.
Oh yes.
Val whispers, "Stay on the outside on the bottom
of the turn of the big turn."
There's like a certain the turn has a name, and he's like, "Stay on the outside." And he's like, "What? We always stay on the inside." He's like, "Trust me."
I'm plotting murder. Stay on the outside.
He's pre-murder. He's like, I'm about to end this girl's career and maybe her life. But
he really tried to kill her. Like before I watched this, I just thought it was like a sharp turn. So when I had rewatched this and he was talking about,
because I hadn't watched this before, I thought what it was going to be was maybe there was some railing or something that he knew. Some obstacle that he knew was right on the other side if you stay on the inside. So he was letting him know you need to go around that. Wasn't letting her know so that she would run into it. I didn't expect what actually happened.
Period. So listen, Esme, I watched this shit and I forgot this happened. I just thought he just knew if you were going too fast, you will kind of tumble. Or whatever at one point. That's what I thought what would happen.
To do a bigger loop around it or something because of how the turn is.
But as they go down, they're hitting all type of
they're going up a lot of speed.
Obstacles, hella speed.
He does a jump, and I think it puts him really neck and neck. Or no, she's ahead of him after that point. And Brink shouts out, go on the outside. And she's like, no. Because her instinct as a skater is to turn on the inside. What we don't, what she doesn't know is that moments before, at the bottom of the hill, Val threw out a bunch of rocks or pebbles.
He Mario Karted this shit.
Period.
He threw the red shell.
He threw a banana peel.
Got this.
She got blue shelled, pretty much. But she like goes over them and she flips and like really fucks up her arm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brink stops. This is the second time that it's been shown that he will stop a race no matter what to help if he sees that his competitor is injured.
Mm-hmm.
So he helps her up, or I think he tries. I don't know if he is able to. I don't know if she like shoves like is like I don't.
Yeah, she wasn't feeling it. Gabrielle wasn't feeling it at that point. Gabrielle said, "Fuck you."
Mm-hmm. I mean, understandable. Like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think then after that it happens, it cuts to him outside her house.
Mm-hmm.
Or is there another scene?
No, basically, I mean that's basically what it is. That's exactly what it is. I mean, Bell is one evil nigga. Like that was the pinnacle of his evilness.
Why didn't he quit then?
I literally wrote that. Why didn't Brink quit right then and there?
He should have. No, he should have.
Because at that point, even if I didn't like this person, like even if this wasn't someone who I was friends with, if this was just some random girl or some girl who I didn't like, I would quit. Because you're putting this person's life in danger. And I don't want to be part of a team that's doing that. And what happens if I upset you?
Period. I mean, I think Brink had the whole movie since to me where Brink had the right idea for everything but the wrong execution. And I think Brink was a good soul. Like he was a nice guy.
He was a good soul skater, get it right.
He was a good soul skater, but he did not have a good soul because he was able to really sell his soul for money at that point because he started skating for this badass team. He knew they was on some grimy shit. And like y'all said before, he should have quit. When that bullshit just happened, he should have quit. And he didn't. And I think him basically sitting there feeling like shit, was enough for me. I think, like Esme put it, a little bit after they end up at Gabriella's house. And Peter and Georgie are leaving the house while Andy is walking up, and he knocks on the door, and Gabriella's mom answers. She says, "Hi, Brink." Da, 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 da. I don't know why she didn't call him Andy, but they interchanged his name a lot in this movie. That was one thing I was kind of like,
I also forgot his name was Andy because of the.
Please give this man a name and not multiple. But Gabriella's mom invites her in and suggests that, this is actually a bad suggestion, but suggests that Andy go talk to Gabriella. So when Andy goes to talk to Gabriella, how did you feel about that, Carrie? Did you feel like basically Gabby should have accepted him with open arms, or did you feel like, she did what she had to do with Andy? Hold on, you're muted again. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to drown out Nitro because
we love Nitro.
Yeah,
we love guest appearance.
He loves making guest appearance. He does it quite a bit.
My puppy's asleep, so she's not making a guest appearance.
Mine doesn't sleep. I wish he would. I wrote Gabriella for president in this part of my notes, so I was 100% on Gabriella's side with everything she said. Hey, we all have our shit, but it doesn't mean you go and abandon the people that love you because you have your shit. You need to talk to us, and we work through these things together. So what you did was wrong. And
honestly, Gabriella might be an S tier Disney Channel character.
Up there.
She's I think she's really, Gabriella for president.
I did think it was super dramatic when he walked in though, and she's he looks half dead in her bed, and it's girl, you got road rash.
And then she has arm in the sling. She's I'm dying.
That sling, by the way, what the fuck was that sling? When she's at the skate park, it was a belt wrapped around her neck. What medical professional gave you that?
They said no research.
Was.
They did no homework. They said no research on bodily harm. They just said we're just gonna throw a sling on their neck and it's gonna be good.
Here, like we don't have an actual sling. So,
Yeah,
like
here are the straps to the sling, but not the
Period.
actual sling. Like fire up the malpractice suit because I am questioning the medical decisions there.
It was bad. Though. It was so bad. And like she explained like why they talking, basically she cut into his ass. Like she basically explains that like he introduced her to soul skating. So she feels like it has nothing to do with money, it has nothing to do with none of that bullshit. She feels like you should be skating from your heart, and if you're not, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think this basically made Andy feel a certain way because it didn't seem like she had the greatest upbringing, and he introduced like, oh, he said like, oh, I needed the money to do it, and she was basically like, we all
needed the money,
period. Like, but we are soul skaters, and she said it's not the point. You start something with love, then you start making money from it. Next thing you know, you're a sellout. And I was like, oop, you're not lying.
Did she just say the S word? Oh shit.
Not the
sellout.
This better have been rated PG.
But she was most definitely spitting facts. Like, Esme, how do you feel about like that whole like little excerpt of like throwing basically his words back in his face?
Honestly, I think it was deserved. You know, like I think she was, like she got physically hurt in this situation, and it's already like on top of the emotional hurt from him betraying his friendship and this trust. I really understand where she's coming from and how and why she's like pissed off about this, and kind of trying to give him a reality check of like, this is why none of us are happy. Like, this is why I'm upset with you for multiple reasons, because it's like, are the morals of what we were doing, you like went against the morals that we had all kind of shared for so long.
You Brink was on some bullshit. Because Gary, like, I mean, how did you feel?
TLDR, like... Brink was on some bullshit. There's the movie. End it. End the podcast right now. We made it.
Bye. Bye.
This is Silent Podcast. It's been real.
Period. I mean, I just feel like, okay, I get you want to make money, but bro, like you have to make sure your friends are okay. Like, and it seemed like he really felt like he really wanted his friends, like, not opinion, like what word am I trying to say? Not opinion, but basically like their certification,
their
like
approval?
Their approval. Yes, he wanted their approval for this, but he didn't give them a chance to give him the approval. So it's kind of like Brink had put himself in a crazy position where like you could have told them that you were doing this for money. And I know like they would have still been like on some soul skater things or whatever, but you know, you got to be like, okay, y'all gonna pay my bills or no?
Well, that's the thing is Brink put himself into this situation because it wasn't until Brink
out of the situation too.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of lose sympathy for him, because like he had ample opportunities and a lot of times like, you know what? I am gonna head out, you know, like, or tell the truth. Like there was a lot that he could have done to stop this, and he kind of just let it happen.
Brink was the one who said, I'm gonna get a job. It wasn't like his parents made him. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until his dad was pissed that he decided to skate for a job and got him the dog washing job that this was like forced upon him, where if it was never brought up in the first, like Brink took on this responsibility of like needing to be a caretaker for his family
himself.
Yeah, no one, not a soul was like, we need you to do this. So
not one.
This was a self-imposed hour and 30-minute movie by Brink.
It was so I'm sorry. Okay. So Brink self-imposing himself to go chill in the garage after this point. He's feeling a little down and he's looking at his old skates. So his dad pops in and Brink's asks why they kept his old skates. Basically, the dad explains that they got him these skates because they didn't realize that it would take over his whole life. But they were like, kind of just like, okay, we didn't think this was going to do this, but we're actually kind of happy. They didn't say this, but they kind of gave the vibe where they kind of happy you found something that, you know, younger or whatever, but it wasn't like literally that. So basically, the dad asks, he said, fuck what you talking about. How Gabriella doing? And he catches him up. Basically, at this point, he's been lying about skating. And he told his dad and his mom that he was not going to skate. And the parents of between Peter, Jordy, and Gabriella and Andy, they all talk to each other. So at this point, they have found out that Gabby had a skating incident, and like basically Brink was kind of a part of it. And Brink tells his dad that it was for the money. And then right after he claims it was for the money. And we didn't know this before, but then he basically exposed that it wasn't necessarily about the money. This nigga really just wanted the recognition and the accolades. So Esme, so how did you feel about like that quote unquote plot twist where he felt like he had to like really protect his parents financially, but in the long run, he was really just trying to be in the magazines and being a really good skater. So it was kind of two things at once. How did you feel about that?
So Gabby was right. Gabriella was right. He is a sellout. That's all. Too long didn't read. He's a sellout. Gabriella was right. Thank you.
All right, Carrie, is Nitro doing okay?
Yeah, he was. It's bedtime here, so I don't need him barking on the balcony at people. I don't want to be the annoying neighbor, you know.
I wish I could cuddle with Nitro right now.
He's right up here next to me, just getting his ears scratched like a good boy. Really, he just wants attention. But
okay,
so,
I don't know if you heard that, but
I heard that yes, Brink is a sellout according to Gabby. I think that was the summary.
I mean, it was. Can you repeat the question, Esme, that I asked you?
It was what Ganjo asked me was like about the reveal that when he talks about it wasn't just about the money, it was also about like the accolades and about being in the magazines. And my response to that was Gabby was right. He's a sellout.
I think everyone at one point wants to be, especially when you're good at something, like famous for it. And so I don't blame him as a 14-year-old kid when this, like, hey, I just have to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm going to be in magazines all over the world, like make money for this. Like, how do you turn that down? All he has to do is wear this like jersey that says X Blades on it. And that's the only thing he has to change. So like, yes, it's selling out, but at the same time, I mean, like, everybody at one point or another wants to have that fame. So I don't blame him that much for it. Again, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And he just did it all wrong. More of
how he did it was like there could have been a way that he did it much more. He
literally went against the wishes of every single person he cared about.
Period. Nobody wanted him to skate, or at least the way he wanted to skate. And he just said, okay, whatever, y'all don't matter. I'm about to get this cash. So after basically he exposed himself for like not even really just wanting the money, but wanting the accolades as well, his dad basically explains his previous job. And he kind of elaborates on the fact that he was a construction foreman.
I think you mean gymnast, but go on.
Oh, not the gymnast. I don't know if y'all know what a foreman is, but a foreman is basically like a supervisor. So like he was a construction supervisor and people looked up to him a lot. So once he felt like he got his disability, when he fell off that beam, he felt like the dad felt like he didn't know himself anymore. And basically after being laid off for 6 months, he actually started to find out that construction is like what he does and not him. And I think that was the greatest point of the movie, and that hit hard on Brink per se. Like do y'all feel like that was like really good advice? So I feel like that was really good advice to give somebody and at the perfect time, basically, because you are not what you do. You are who you are, no matter what. Like what you do is a part of you. It's just not you. If that makes sense.
I wish someone had like showed this to me when I was like 23 and I was in like my second year of teaching, and it was encompassing all of my life, and like literally every aspect of what I did was being a teacher. And it took a long time for me to like create that separation of teaching is my job, but teaching is not my life. It
You're
is
not
just
just a
what I
teacher.
do to make money, and I do enjoy it, but it's not the end all. That's not me. It's just what I do, and I think that it's very sound advice for a lot of people, not just in this Disney movie. Because I definitely, if I had seen this like 7-8 years ago, I would have been like, huh, do I need to take Andy's dad's advice right now? But yeah, some people need to hear that.
I wholeheartedly agree. Like when I was watching this, I was like, not the daddy coming in with the fire, really telling Andy what the fuck he need to hear, because bro, you are not skateboarding. Skateboarding is like a part of you, but you're just not fully skateboarding. You're not fully X-Play. So I wholeheartedly felt that exact same thing. And I think we're getting to the point, I don't know if we're getting to this point yet in Disney Channel original movies where like lessons are being like taught, because the first two, it wasn't that big of lessons, more so than I guess don't be scared, and then you lucky dog, it was like believe in yourself. I don't know, it really wasn't that much.
I don't remember anything about You Lucky Dog. I'm sorry.
It was just messy. It was just motherfucker turned into a
Are you
dog.
guys watching these in order?
Yes, we're watching order.
Okay,
yes.
that's what I thought, because I don't remember the first two. I undisputedly remember this one. And then I know that Alley Cat's Strike was the next one.
It's up there.
What'd you say?
I said, oh, did you like Brink? I didn't know that.
Yes. I haven't made that point clear enough yet. Let me work on it. So is Alley Cat's Strike the next one?
I think it's Halloween Town.
It might be. Oh, Halloween Town, yes.
Oh, okay. Because Alley Cat's Strike went to start after Brink ended when I was watching
on Disney Plus. Yes.
And so that's why I was asking if it was in order, because I don't remember these first two, but I remember Brink, and I don't remember watching Halloween Town, but I definitely saw Alley Cat's Strike.
The first one wasn't even on Disney Plus. We had to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, we had to watch it on YouTube. It was wild. Under Wraps was definitely on YouTube. Yeah, it was crazy. Because I was just like, at least the first one you're not gonna have on Disney Plus. That's wild. But okay, let's like try to get through this. We're almost done. Okay, so basically, basically spit facts about you're not your job. Your job is not you, whatever. So the dad wants to come to the tournament. That was a complete turnaround in what he was earlier, because he was just not about the skating. He was anti all of this. So they skip forward where the dad and the Brink actually are done talking, and then like you see Val and his crew, including Boomer with his busted ass leg, at the pier, and they chilling, eating some like pizza or something, and then Brink ass come up and throw his motherfucking skates on the pizza that they got. So like Brink,
he ruined that. He ruined a perfectly fine pizza.
Most definitely fine pizza. And like I wrote this in here, I don't know what happens at this point, but I basically correctly identified that he almost killed Gabriella. So I'm thinking Val has said like, okay, yeah, I did that, and like I tried to basically hurt her, and like he basically in this scene confirmed that he tried to kill her. And I'm just like, okay, this nigga wild. And then Andy throws a milkshake. Arrest that man. Andy throws a milkshake on Val because, like, boy, you're not about to do me crazy like that. Make me look crazy, embarrass my friends, hurt my friends. I'm throwing milkshake on you.
So he quits and he leaves, and Boomer also quits. And
yes, but right before he quits and leave, I'll call him Al. Val tries to basically beat Brink ass, and Boomer, like the Captain Save-A-Ho he is, like the Power Ranger he is, he come in between Val and Brink and say, "Boy, you are not touching Brink. You're tripping. You've been tripping for a minute, and I'm getting the fuck on with."
And he's
Brink.
like, "You're not making skating fun." I think he said something along the like, "We don't make skating fun."
Which I agree with Boomer because Val was on tip.
And
So
it was kind of weird that was like the last thing we saw of Boomer. I like thought that he was gonna join their team.
We see him cheering for Pup and Suds in
So like he probably joins their team after. Like
not in a sequel type shit. Yeah, most
like
definitely.
I expect like he probably joined their team after this tournament because he seems like kind of okay with Brink, but that was kind of like a drop thing of like I wish we could have gone like that, and like I thought that he was gonna like when he showed up, he's like, oh, and we have Boomer now who's on our team too.
Not the pop up of the black man, just like okay, so like it was just like they literally just said, let me give the black man not a main role, but like a side main role where you kind of be important.
Let me say this white man.
Let me say this white man. That's exactly what it was. Most definitely Boomer came in to say the white man because he was actually there to save Brink the entire time. Not gonna hold you up. But so after Boomer,
I don't know, maybe, who knows? Maybe he had a crush on him. We don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? After
couldn't go into that in like the 8 and when this came out.
They was not on no gay shit at this point. When Boomer saves Andy, like they kind of like just peek through the next scene, and you see Gabriella, Peter, and Jordy. They're practicing, and well, it's more so Gabriella instructing them to practice because Gabriella's arm is still fucked up, and they basically know Gabriella cannot perform until it's healed.
In the belt sling.
In the belt sling, in the weird like contraption, whatever they thought was gonna help her. And Peter basically is struggling to do a move, and then all of a sudden his skate breaks. And then Andy pop up like Santa Claus with a motherfucking sack of goods, and he say, listen, I not only got y'all sponsorships, we're being sponsored by Pups and Suds, but I pay for this shit.
You get new skates. You get new skates. Everybody gets new skates.
Everybody gets new skates. Yes, everybody gets new skates, and it's on my dime. So do you think this really like alleviated because he got paid 4 months in advance, so he was able to afford everything.
I had a question about that. What job is giving a 14-year-old man 4 months in advance? 4 months in advance when
Pup and Suds.
Pup and Suds.
It's not even like a chain. It's like a local place.
I think you're more likely to get something like that from a local than you would a chain. To be fair, someone that's gone corporate, they don't give a fuck. Those
4 months in advance. What is that?
Yeah. It also doesn't seem like he's been working there long enough to really be able to request 4 months of pay in the future. Like, but he did it.
And he also wasn't even like working that much. He was working before school, right?
It was after school.
After
for
school,
like an hour.
It was something wild. Like, what, bro? You working for an hour after school? That's like literally $20 a day, maybe. Like you
I think it was like around 600. Like he said the money in like it was like 600 or something, right?
Yeah.
A week.
Or no, he said it was like 600 was that everything cost him or something.
Oh, okay.
So like it was 600, and that's like I could be wrong. That could be something I'm just pulling out my ass. But like,
you good. Yes, Team Pup and Suds. No, we always love that. Basically,
got excited.
Nitro is a very big supporter of Team Pup and Suds.
Yes, Nitro. So basically, as he's talking to his old friends, they kind of like giving him the cold shoulder a little bit, and then they like ask him a question after he give him all their skates, and like, oh, did you really throw a milkshake in Val's face? And he like, hell yeah. And like basically, they get back to togetherness, and they invite him to compete with them in the invitational stuff. It's wrong, Gabriella. And so they decide they're going to compete in the tournament together instead of Brink competing with X Blades. And after 2 weeks, Gabriella is good to actually like skate again. Was it like 2 weeks or a month? It was something
like 3 days. I thought they were like, we have the invitational in 3 days or something.
It was
a very, very quick recovery. I don't know. what miracle medicine was put on her arm, but it worked.
Mhm.
I hope that it's FTC
Is
approved.
that why she's able to heal so fast?
Mhm.
100%.
She's an X-Men.
Period. She was definitely an X-Men. So
Big
basically, so basically, they skip forward. They all like kumbaya, love each other again, and they all get their Pup and Suds t-shirts, and they ready to compete. Gabriella goes first, and as one of the only girls out there, she popped the fuck off. She hit her some 540s. That was the talk of the movie, is hitting the 540.
Which I still don't know what that is.
It's like
it's 1.5
360,
spins.
1.5. Yes. So if you add 180 to 360, you get 540. Yes. Period. It's most definitely some wild ass math. And so I mean,
clearly you guys didn't grow up playing 1080 on Nintendo 64 and have to figure that out and then just work everything backwards from there.
But I played Tony Hawk.
I'm not a sports gay. I'm a theater gay.
It's pretty gay.
Well, I'm a sports guy. It has made me into a guy. That is what Ganjo and I discussed on the Circle
the
podcast.
guy named Carl.
I'm Carl. I am a man. I enjoy sports. I am a man because I enjoy sports.
Wait, Carl Weezer from Jimmy.
Yes, it's that's what llamas and all. You know what's so funny, Carrie? Like, I feel like we podcasted years ago, and we really did
it was like not even 4 hours ago.
Type shit. Okay. Okay, so obviously Gabriella going crazy. Okay, this is one thing I peeped game when it was talking. It was like X Blades is the top ranked team, and Val is the top ranked guy. And I was just sitting here like, wasn't Brink better than him when he was on that team? So how was Val the top ranked guy? Whatever. So they talking about how they need to be creative. They need to Brink is up, and he needs to be innovative. He needs to do some cool moves, and then he fucks around and falls. So this puts teams Pup and Suds in a bad predicament against the X Blades. The X Blades are number 1 at this point, and this fuck up
down to 4th.
Yes, this fuck up has put the Pup and Suds down to 4. So how do you guys feel about the position that they in at this point in the movie?
I was slightly worried, but I'm like, oh, this is a Disney Channel movie. They're gonna go in.
I think it led to some of the best advice that has ever been given, and this is something that I quote.
Wait. Just skate better.
Skate better. Just skate better. The thing is, I say this all the time, except it might not be skate. They'll be like, whatever we're doing. And I'll just be like, oh, like drive better. And no one knows what I'm talking about, but I know that I'm quoting Brink.
Well, now this is our new thing. This is our new thing. Skate better.
Ganjo will understand whenever you say it.
Yeah.
No matter what, anything with better in it, I'm in it at this point, because Katie was my favorite. Katie was the most like unproblematic like character. I feel like she just was nosy as fuck. That's all it was.
Equally.
Hated everybody equally. We love Katie out here.
She was very consistent in her hatred. She wasn't like Dad ebbing and flowing with the movie, but
it was a montage at one point. It was some music, and I was like, wow, like they would really put this shit on Rick and Morty. I was like, I watched a lot of Rick and Morty, and I was literally just like, just some shit they put on Rick and Morty. Like, where's Ryan Elder? Where is Rick and Morty creators? Because I was just saying here, like, I know they would be like, it just felt like a Rick and Morty song, but it was like the 90s shit, and the 90s music fits Rick and Morty like that. Okay. But that's just, off a tangent. Obviously they're in 4th place. And like the dad comes to the invitational, and then they talk about how he got his job back, and he like gives Andy the thumbs up, and he's geeked, right? And I think this is what helped Andy. And since Andy failed earlier in the invitational, the Pup and Suds were in 4th place. So they were in kind of a peculiar position where they had to be in the top 2 to race the last race. And at this point, they was relying on, what is his name? Peter or Andy? Okay. Peter. Oh, no.
Or they're able to get themselves up into 3rd.
Yes, they're able to get themselves up in 3rd because Andy goes and he hits 3 540s back to back. So they're also reliant on a fall at this point. After Andy goes in and actually clutches out for the team, they're still in an actually dire position where they actually need for the other team to, you know, fuck up and fall for them to get at
or
least
just not do well enough, or like just not,
exactly
not do well.
Period.
Yeah,
Just for them
someone
to
had
get
to
into
die.
last.
I mean, someone did.
Almost was that he almost did die.
He skated off on his own, 8 wheels, 4 on each rollerblade, but
and then like he said this man who like, isn't on either of the teams, it's just a team that they needed. And somehow, like he skates off.
Not saying not them praying on this man's downfall, but it was praying on somebody's downfall to fall, and he did fall. And my guy Peter had to come in and clutch it. And what Peter did was he ended up, you know, doing some basic ass shit the whole time, and did an inverted 540 for something about these 540s they love. They said fuck. A 70-20, a 720. We're not getting that.
How many spins is a 70-20? Hold on, let me divide that by 360. That's only 19.5 spins.
A 720, not a 70-20. But he had to
imagine being responsible for counting that many revolutions to like make sure.
We'll lose track. Most definitely.
Unless but like oh shit. They learned one skateboarding and they learned one skateboarding move and ran with it and made it the whole movie.
Ran with it. When I tell you they talk about them 540s the entire movie, I was like, ooh,
this movie could have also been called 540 and it would have
I was on the same tip, like, what the fuck is a 540? But and Peter basically clutches the inverted 540. So at that point, they're with that fall prior to this, and Peter getting this 540. They are sitting neck and neck with the X-Bladers. The X-Bladers to me didn't even look that good, but I guess they were like, you know, number 2. And I said, win or lose, basically, Andy felt like he needed to do a pep talk to his crew, not himself, I guess. But he said, win or lose, skating's what we do, not who we are. And I was just like, wow, that's the best shit that Daddy has ever said to this man, because he throwing it to his friends, and we love it. And basically, Val says he's gonna crush Brink. You know, he's gonna slice his ass. And the last race, I felt like was very hype. They was both going neck and neck with each other, going down his.
One of my favorite line happened was like, at the end of the day, if I win or lose, at least I'm not you.
Yeah.
Period. We love to see it. Nah, I'm gonna start telling motherfuckers that win or lose, as long as I'm not you, I'm good.
I can't wait for your next final 2 speech. Please make sure that I'm watching that stream wherever it happens.
When me and Kari play a game together and we have a feud, and I'm like, win or lose, at least I'm not you.
I'm just gonna be like, you know what, Esme, skate better.
And I'll be like, did you come to talk or did you come to skate?
Yeah. I'm not doing this to win. I'm just a soul mini player.
Period. I'm a so many player. Oh my god, that's my new phrase. I'm a so many player.
It's going in my Twitter bio.
I was so many.
And then I'll put today's date so it looks like a sequester one.
Not this good.
No. We can say that we can say that we were final 2.
We can make up our own fake redacted game and just say we were all played in this one redacted game.
Survivor.
Period. Survivor. Yes. Okay. So I said they were neck and neck. So the race starts and they good. They neck and neck. They good. And at this point, they're going 42.5 miles per hour. When I tell you I would cry if I was going this fast and not in a car. Because like I've been on a longboard, like not even close to this fast. Even though this is a movie and they probably were not going that fast. If I was ever going that fast, like Gabby could have died. Like the speed that they were going, how Gabby fell, she could have cracked her fucking head and died. Like this was a real situation. Gabby would have died.
When I was around that age, because I was in middle school at the time, but was either in 6th or 7th grade. I must have been in 6th or 7th grade because at the place where we were living, I was biking and I went over my handlebars and like skid, and my whole arm from like here to here was just like Gabby. I cosplayed as Gabby for a bit. And that, like, I obviously don't know how fast that was going because they don't have, they don't tell you how fast
like
you're going
on your
They don't have a speedometer on the bike path. So I like walked home with the bike and that was fun. But yeah, like.
Well, so I bought one of those electric scooters that they have in cities like Bird and Lime and stuff. I bought one for myself because I'm a 32-year-old child. And
32-year-old lady.
I scooter to and from work, and like my kids, like my students think it's the funniest thing. Like they'd be like, "Hey, Miss Delia," and I just like ring my little bell at them. But they think it's hilarious. So that thing goes 15 miles an hour, and like I know if I fall off that, I'm taking a hit. So multiply that by 3, and that's how fast they were going. I refuse to believe it.
It's too much. No, and at one point,
and he doesn't even strap on his helmet. So like if he falls, he dies.
Yes. Was his helmet strapped on in this scene?
I think it was.
Yeah, it might have been, but he was not strapping that bitch on for at least 80% of the movie. Like, bro, do you want to crack your skull or not? And I mean, okay, so basically,
he made so many bad decisions because he never knows how to, because he's falling off his skates when he doesn't have his helmet buckled.
Period. And this whole time, I did not realize, like, I like the movie Brink, but like, I didn't realize how dumb Brink was. Like, I didn't realize how many bad decisions Brink was making throughout this like movie. Like, I didn't know like everybody around him had sense but him. Like, it was literally like, okay. Taken away, he had to pay, we 2.5 hours, man. But taken away, he had to pay for his parents, financial shit. Like, Brink was still on some bullshit with the decisions he was making. Okay, whatever. So basically, they go on 42.5 miles per hour, and they end up going, racing, end up on a, staircase. They end up down the staircase or whatever, and Brink ends up falling at the bottom. He falls behind, and then the camera shot cuts on the course. And at this point, everybody that's watching the course cannot see anything. And it's just basically Val and Andy chilling. I don't know if it was like spectators watching. I guess not, whatever, because Val was on some wild shit. Val started playing dirty and started pushing Brink and shit.
Well, because he starts pushing him. The cameras are off. He pushes him in the cars. Eventually, they're able to get back on camera, and he still is like kind of shoving him. And what happens is, I think they're turning a corner, and Val crashes into some hay bales, and he topples over them. And we've seen this before, where Brink will stop to help someone if they crash. He stops.
Before you finish, Val tried to swing on Brink, and that's why he fell into the hay bale. Keep going.
Oh yeah, he was trying to like knock him off.
Knock.
Sorry, I slipped into my fake British accent.
That's it. You have to do the rest of the show in the British accent. You brought this upon yourself. I don't make the rules.
Oh my God.
So Val ends up knocking him into
I want to apologize to the entire country of the United Kingdom for what's happened over the last 14 seconds or so.
I'm gonna apologize. They will be okay. It will get off.
I create a formal apology to the Queen of England.
To the Queen, only the Queen, Esme, only the Queen.
The rest of them are racist as fuck. They don't get an apology.
Period. Only the Queen is not racist.
Yeah.
You fucking knock him over. I can't.
I apologize to Meghan Markle and Meghan Markle only.
I apologize to Abby the Stallion. So he crashes into the hay bales after trying to knock him off his feet. And Brink is like, "Oh shit, let me help." So he goes to help him up, and they say something. I forget what Val says before. He's like, oh, I was betting on you helping me up. He like yeets him to the ground, and he starts, and then he takes the lead. Like he's in the lead now. Also, the camera crew was right there too. They were like, "Let me get this." They said, "World star." So he gets back on his skates, or Brink gets back on his skates and is going after him, and he's behind. Like, and with how it looks, there isn't a way for him to be able to gain and get the lead on him. But he sees his little peanut brain sees an alleyway, and he takes it. He takes the alleyway and is able to cut out in front of Valentina. Not Valentina. Val. Do we know his full name or is his name just Val?
Just Val.
Probably
Just
just
Val.
Val.
The antagonist doesn't get a real name. He's just Val.
But he jumps in front of Val, and they're neck and neck at this point, and it's neck and neck till the end of the race. And Brink, surprise, surprise, is able to cross the finish, like jumps the finish line first and gets it and wins. Ta-ta-ta. That's what he says when he lands. He lands and goes, ra-ta-ta-ta. He was before his time. So he wins. His team is like, yes, you did it, Joe. Yep. So he wins.
Yeah.
And also, Boomer's also there being like, yes.
Period. Boomer the entire way. Shout out to Boomer. He dropped sides when he saved Andy after he threw that milkshake in Val's face because Val, I guess, was about to step up and beat Andy ass. And, Captain Save-A-Ho, as the black man of the movie, Boomer had to say, bruh, you got to not about to beat his ass. So, Val stayed away, and Boomer was also, cheering for Team Pup and Suds to get the W. Shout out to them.
Question.
So,
did you know the other guy's name from X-Blades is Worm?
Oop, I didn't know
so
that.
So we have Val, BJ, and Worm.
And Boomer, technically.
No, Boomer's not X-Blades. He's on the good side now. He's a pup and sutter.
Period.
Yeah. He switched sides. He switched teams. And then basically everyone's like, cheater, 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 yelling at Val.
Period. Val gets dragged at this point. And like one thing that I was just kind of like, did y'all notice this entire time? Or did I just want to wait until everybody else was dragging him? Basically, like they all hugging and happy, and Val minions pop up like they didn't think Val was on tip like that. They didn't think Val was doing shit like that. And I'm just looking at them like,
please. How do we act surprised? This is literally what happens anytime a white dude does something problematic and has actually done 20 fucking things before that. But it's taken this one major thing that was caught on video for everyone to be like, oh my God, this person.
No. He fucking did. The worst thing he did that we saw in the movie was when
he tried to murder Gabby, our future president. But nonetheless, like, this when
because he cheated against the white man.
Yeah, that's what it was. When it was around the Peruvian girl, it didn't matter. When he almost killed her, it did not matter.
The symbolism this still has in 2021 is outrageous, but we cannot sit here and be surprised that like his little cronies. It took until it being cast on ESPN that their friend was a douchebag being problematic.
It took that much.
Like caught onto his shit early and left. Like, of course, the only POC on that team was like, you know what? I am gonna go.
Yep.
He peeped game and was like, I know this is a white man's sport, rollerblading, but I can't even do this shit.
Like, you also know that Boomer was being shit on that team from the get, like behind the scenes, like.
There are no surprises with any of this. If anything, it's just so surprising how this was made in 1998 and not 2021.
Period. That's the most surprise out of all of this.
I can't get to it. I'm sorry.
All right. I mean, okay, we can finish this off by basically saying the slimy guy tried to offer like Andy like a captain's position on the X-Blades, and he importantly just shitted on them because like we just won without y'all. Why would I need y'all?
Mhm.
Like you want to say he literally just won without that team. What is the incentive of me like you know
And
skating
like
for you guys?
also like all the people that I want to be playing with are on this team.
Mhm.
So maybe if you offer all of us a spot on this team, maybe
Period.
I was like, either he's gonna say no, or he's gonna be like, only if you accept, and only if you let these three people play too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I basically just said he declined. Andy declines and chooses his friends. So shout out to that, yes, Andy. But like you actually went around some circles to get to this point.
Yay, grow.
I have a question though.
Mhm.
Did Brink cheat when he like jumped the course into?
He most definitely cheated.
Why is it not brought up?
Well, I think it was also because what happened was the other man cheated, and that's
right. That's right. They
Right.
both was cheating.
He had to cheat because Val tried to kick his ass, but it was not mentioned at all that he like. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the woman who in the Boston Marathon, I forget, it was like 40-ish years ago, but basically like she started at the start line and then like jumped on like the T and got a taxi and jumped back in the race about a half mile before the finish and won like first place for the women. And like that's what I felt like he was doing. That's a real story, by the way.
That's basically what he did. That's crazy.
That woman like just said, you know what? Run. I want to copy.
So I just wanted to make sure that we're an equal opportunity employer out here, mentioning Brink's shortcomings as well.
No, period. But I think it was the fact that Val was trying to kill this man also. It was just like, okay, he can win. And this was nationally televised on ESPN, by the way, so we know this. I mean, overall, I actually had a pleasant experience watching this. I felt Andy was a bit, skittish and like a bit weird because like he was making weird ass decisions. Like I'm not gonna hold you up. I was just like, okay, Andy, like I do feel like, okay, you wanted to make money for your family, that's fine. You wanted to like spare your friends' feelings, I guess that's fine. But at one point when you're actually out there competing, you need to tell your friends that you own some fuck shit right now. Because he almost lost a lot of friends basically for some money. And I'm gonna let y'all talk about this. I feel like in real life, fuck DComs, fuck real world, fuck everything. Well, I guess not fuck the real world, but in real life, I feel like money is the issue of a lot of things. So I just feel like Andy choosing basically, he wasn't even choosing money for himself. He was choosing money for his family, but then his family didn't even want him to have the specific job. So this movie was very messy. So I guess starting with Carrie, how did you feel, I guess, overall about this movie?
So, I mean, I loved that we got the full resolution of, okay, we have this great kid who then makes some like questionable choices that then learns his lesson through a developing relationship with his father, and then like comes back to the right place and ends up winning. Very Disney. I appreciate how it happened because while I think if you gave the first like 3 sentences of the plot of this movie, you could probably guess the last 3 sentences of the plot of the movie. It was still done in a very entertaining way. We had some laughs along the way. We had some real life parallels. Overall, I'm okay. I'm not just okay. I love how it went. As I've mentioned once or twice.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
Honestly, I don't know where I put this like on a tier list, but at least a B. Like a B. Like I think it's a really good movie. Like I think it was really fun and entertaining. I think I tend to not like the main characters in movies a lot. I think they annoy me. And I was a little annoyed with him, but I think it was done really good. And I think, like Carrie said,
it's Carrie. You got it.
No, you mentioned that on the first podcast, Emily. Not Emily.
Emily is Jack here?
Emily from? Not me conflating. Not me conflating podcast. I'm sorry. No, I agree with you, Esme. We was talking about. not liking the main character because like I feel like Brink, like Andy Brink was cool. Like he was being like he was just kind of irritating to it. He wasn't as irritating as the first character, like as the guy Under Wraps, or even okay, the guy in You Lucky Dog wasn't irritating. It was just a weird ass movie. Like if Carrie, if you ever want to watch a weird ass movie, watch You Lucky Dog. Very fucking weird. But basically, I do feel like Andy was the best out of the three I've watched at this point. And officially I will make sure we have the actual tier list. Okay, it's cute because we'll have at least 4 movies to rank, but particularly me, out of the 3 movies we watched, I'm putting Brink at number 1, Under Wraps at number 2, and You Lucky Dog at number 3.
Same here.
I definitely saw You Lucky Dog like when it came out, because that's what's his name that was on Growing Pains. I just looked it up. I've seen this. I just don't like if I read the summary of what happened, I probably will remember it, but I know I've seen this.
It was basically just some kind of motherfucker who, like, when the dog get excited, he turns into the dog. So that's kind of what the movie was. And he was like, whenever the dog wanted, like the dog would bark when they like wanted certain things, like Lucky, like say a couch or some bones or some toys, he could talk through the main character. So that's kind of what the movie was about. But I mean, it was a good movie. It was just wild as hell. I'm not gonna hold you. It was very like I was watching that motherfucker high. I was like, oh my god, I shouldn't have watched this high because like I was just stuck. Like I was because it's basically about a motherfucker who can talk to dogs, but at one point he really loses the power to talk to dogs, and he's lying about it. And then when he meets Lucky, he actually can talk to dogs. Like Lucky is talking through him, and like he's using the main character to like get things done. So it's a wild ass movie, and that's why I'm putting that motherfucker at number 3 with between Brink and Under Wraps, because Under Wraps was like okay, Under Wraps was good. It was like a scary movie. It was number 1, but like You Lucky Dog didn't really have a premise. And like if you do go back and watch the podcast for You Lucky Dog, I make a statement where I wholeheartedly 10 toes down, 100% feel. I was looking at that movie like, who the fuck made this movie? And did they make it for a kid, an adult, or a fucking dog? And I feel like if I was a dog, I would love this movie, Carrie. Like,
Should I put it on for Nitro and see how he does? He really liked Brink.
Listen, I was like, who did they make this movie for? A dog? I was just like, because there's no connection to us in that movie. I'm not gonna hold you up. Like there's no connection to humans really. It's like if I was a dog and I was in a house and like I got left $64 million, I will be happy. But opposed to that, I cannot relate to this movie at all.
I guess for that movie, the D&D comm stood for dog.
Period. But do you two have any other tea you want to spill about this movie? Like any other like feelings you have?
Fun fact about this movie, I was in. No, I'm kidding.
Not as a negative baby.
I was -3. It was my first starring role.
Oh my god, you are a child. I would just like to say that I think especially for it being the third one, that it set the tone for a lot of upcoming movies that you'll get to watch. I'm excited for you to watch Johnny Tsunami. I'm excited for you to watch Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, Smart House. Like this one, I think kind of provided like almost a bit of a compass for Disney Channel original movies.
Like the most classic DCOM movie. Like this felt like the most what you expect out of it. Like it felt like the most standard, not like in a bad way, but it felt like what you would expect, and like
it followed the formula.
Yeah, like I think this is kind of where the formula starts.
Yeah, I think the next one that I'm most excited for is Xenon, so I can't wait to listen about that because that is solid.
The next one I have actually seen, so I'm excited for that one too.
I like it. I like Xenon, and I'm gonna tell you the tea with me and Xenon. I like Xenon because of Raven. So.
Yeah.
But recently, I had I'll call him Quarantine Bay. at Quarantine Bay. We watched Xenon. I fell asleep on it, but I do like Xenon. Xenon is cool because it's just like a whole different vibe.
Mhm.
But we love Xenon. I'm very excited for Halloween Town.
Yes.
Like that. Oh, introducing that. That is the next movie we are watching. Is Halloween Town 1. I'm so excited. We love Marnie and her grandma and all of that. So, and spoiler alert, I'm not too bullish on number 4, but when we get to that point, we'll get to that point. You know what I'm trying to say? But
Yes.
we can start. Okay, so I'm going to plug Carrie's Twitter. So you can plug your Twitter, Carrie.
Follow me at KGD26. That's Twitter and Instagram. So on Twitter, you will see me reply to Ganjo, and you will also see me just say dumb shit. Just say these are my thoughts. You get them. How I would make the world a better place, which would actually probably make it way more problematic. But let's be honest. Anyway, follow, call me names. I don't care. And you'll see Nitro on Instagram. I just put up stories of my dog. But you can also find me on the Circle podcast on Silent Podcast. I also make appearances on the Challenge podcast. Wasn't able to do it this week, but I am ready and raring to get back to it. It's so fun. So you can catch me all over this network.
Perfect. And Esme.
Esme B Hart on Twitter, also on Instagram, but there's a period between Esme and B Hart. Also, I'm not really active on Instagram. On Instagram, no, I just said I'm not active there. On Twitter, you'll see me just being a chaotic mess. Yeah, so follow me there if you want to see what's going on in this little coconut head.
Mm-hmm. As somebody who follows both Carrie and Esme, I think they're both amazing followers. Shout out to y'all. If y'all want to not be bored all day, hit them blue buttons and turn them whatever color they go when they're not blue. And you can follow me at Ganjo the Dank 2 on Twitter, or you can follow me at Ganjo the Dank without that little 2 on it at Instagram, where I may post a story where ask you questions, ask you about your day, and most of the questions are basically what I'm thinking about. So shout out to that. I had such an amazing time podcasting with you two. I'm so excited. You can also follow Silent Podcast on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter for all your updates on future podcasts. We podcast about Temptation Island, Big Brother Canada 9, The Circle, The Challenge, obviously, Total Drama Island, and then we're going through the list, obviously, from here.
I think there's some anime ones that they talk about.
Yes, anime as well. We talk about Disney Channel original movies here on Moc'd.
I got something in the works. It's a secret, but I'll let you guys know after. It should be fun.
It's solely just a Brink podcast.
Huh?
It's solely just a Brink podcast.
Yes. I'm actually going to fan fiction it into a TV show via podcast.
The TV show that never was.
Write it?
Yes, you can.
And thank you all for watching. Share, comment, and subscribe. We love to see it. Shout out to y'all. And next week we'll talk about Halloween Town. So if you want to slide up in this little bitty, shout out to that. Yes. You guys can have a great night. I'm so excited. Bye.
We didn't